심박이 빨라져 네가 날 보니까 뱀 관심 없는 듯 짧은 이 말투 갑자기 분노튀기는 싸늘한 도대체는 손을 긋던 그런 너를 어떻게 너를 어떻게 눈을 본다 눈을 본다 눈을 본다 우우우 빠져든다 넌 우우우 꿈속에서도 자꾸만 보여 어떻게 baby tell me why 널 보며 뒷면 생각난 매일 땀 자꾸 오늘도 왜 예뻐 갈수록 더 숨길 수 없는 날 보면 자꾸 이렇게 down oh my god 한순간에 뺨 날 내려놓게 하는 baby you 갑자기 뺨 정신없게 흔들어대는 you baby 손을 뒷는다면 생각난 매일 땀 자꾸 오늘도 왜 baby 갈수록 더 숨길 수 없는 날 보면 자꾸 이렇게
God damn it, I was muted. Welcome, everybody. I'm joined by Shep, Mossy, and George here. We're going to talk about Bob Lazar tonight and Artemis and a bunch of different things. I was going to start off with this, but I think I'll start off with the Artemis stuff because that's what we were just talking about here. So, bring this up. So, as you know, the Artemis here launched today, or this week, I should say. Let's go back. I don't understand why we're still launching like this, doing this vertical takeoff crap like this. It's just, I don't get it.
Integrity, AMT high.
There's better ways.
On time, passing 30 seconds until the flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space launch system core stage. Integrity. 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
I can't wait till we start talking about this.
It makes me nervous watching this because I don't know if you guys. Well, I'm pretty sure you were around then. I remember when they.
I was.
I remember
Challenger?
when the challenge. I saw it live.
I watched it. So
Yeah,
did
I
I.
watched it blow up too. It was a cold fucking day. I knew it wasn't a good day for them to blow up.
I was just like in shock. I was like,
I was
wow.
at school at Jensen Beach Elementary School, and our teacher had us come outside to watch it because her husband worked at the NASA, and we were standing out there watching it. We literally watched it explode.
Jesus Christ, man.
My
Better
dad
sleep than
actually
mine.
worked. He worked for a company that made connectors for the space shuttle, and he was laid off work with pay for 6 months while they investigated. But it wasn't anything they did; it was the O-ring.
Yeah, it was they
his
had bad
position
O-rings.
opened back
Yeah,
up.
the
and he
O-ring
went
got
back to
froze
work.
because it was so cold.
Yeah, my dad used to make connectors for the space shuttle.
Crazy asses.
Yeah, I literally, as a kid, standing outside my school in the front playground, watched that damn thing blow up. It's tough.
Whee, front roll.
There's so much more affordable and economical and better ways than to launch a fucking person into space and to keep doing this bullshit. It just drives me nuts. This whole thing with the tower and you got to drop off fuel tanks and all of this stupid shit.
Hang
When
on.
that Branson guy had that plane where he was giving people rides up into space, the fucking plane took right off the runway and went right up into fucking space. So don't tell me it can't be done. I don't know why this way is just it's over costly. The amount of fuel and everything you have to. It's just so ridiculous. So apparently these people are in space right now, going around or getting by the moon. But go ahead and talk, guys. You were saying you can't see the pictures or something. What was George saying? George, what were you saying? about the pictures are blurry or something, or they can't take the pictures?
He left.
George, are you here?
Yeah, right here, right here.
Okay, well, tell us what you were saying about that.
No.
They can't see the pictures on the moon or something.
Every astronomer on Earth who has a high-powered telescope and a camera attachment to it takes pictures of the moon, high-resolution pictures of the moon. Yeah, not one of them has been able to find any evidence that of the moon landing. But we all know the moon landing happened on the light side of the moon, not the dark side of the moon. So great. Show they release high-resolution pictures of the moon, and where's the fucking landing? Nowhere. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Also, you're gonna love this. The images of the Artemis right here. Is this the Artemis pictures?
It was a live feed at the time. This is it.
Yeah.
It was live
Okay.
going.
All right. Every time you see pictures of NASA showing the Earth and stuff like that, where are the cities?
It's all computer generated. It always has been.
No, where are the cities? Really? You look where are the cities right now? If you take any picture from orbit, you'll see cities. You'll see what I call lines and airplanes flying around and lights and stuff. Even in the day, you'll see human activity. You don't see shit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you just see like the picture of Earth, but you don't see like the what do you call it, the cities and all that. You barely even see the continents if you're lucky.
No.
Even with clouds, where are the cities? You can still make out the cities through the cloud system.
Kirk, you son of a bitch. Come in here to start shit, you son of a bitch.
He wants his ship.
My
Well,
whole thing is
I don't
Van
know
Allen
what to
belt.
make of this. Like, in the year 2026, we're still launching ships like we did in the 1950s. I mean, what the fuck? And what happened to the space shuttle? Why are we launching this thing up there? What's with this? What happened to the space shuttle? What, the space shuttle fall apart? We can't use that no more?
It got elded out.
For a rocket
Perhaps
that
I've
we
been
already
on
had beforehand.
perhaps I've been on the internet for too long. I'm questioning whether any of this is real. Oh, you ain't
Don't
the
we
only one,
normally
Eric.
It's not
advance?
real, Eric. That's the whole
We
idea.
went backwards. We went backwards from the space shuttle.
Yeah, well, we're
We're supposed to
fucking
move forward from
de-evolving
the
as a
space shuttle. By
species.
the time the space shuttle retired, we should have had something that could land and take off like an airplane that could go straight into space.
Yeah, I mean, the
But
space
now we
shuttle was able to
reverted
come
back to
back
a
and land on
rocket,
a
like you
runway.
said, from like the 60s. My whole question is, I've always asked and will still to ask is, how are they getting through the Van Allen belt?
They don't.
Because if you AI search it on Google, it says that it will pass through it in under 2 hours
Bullshit.
by taking a high-speed directory that avoids the most intense radiation zone. The Orion spacecraft provides shielding for the crew, while specialized aluminum and plastic materials on the capsule minimize exposure to levels lower than a medical CT scan for radiation. Then
Rebels.
they say, if you ask how wide is the Van Allen belt, the Van Allen belt is roughly 37,000 miles wide. But they say it's only taken them 2 hours to get through it. You ask Google what speed is Archimedes traveling at approximately. It says approximately 17,000 miles per hour when it first reached orbit and headed to the moon. This velocity allowed it to clear the launch tower and enter space. Later, it accelerated to over 22,600 miles per hour for its journey. So that means it shouldn't slow down if that's for its journey, right? But if you go to a live feed where they're tracking it right now, it's only doing 1,394,000 miles an hour. It is not doing 17,000 miles an hour. So it had to take probably roughly, It was probably going a little faster when it went through the Van Allen belt. So it probably took it 10 to 15 hours for them to get through the Van Allen belt.
Yeah, it's more questions than answers.
I don't see how they could live it. I was
Yeah.
security for a nuclear power plant. I don't see how they could live through that radiation with aluminum and plastic shielding.
Yeah, and then like I said, they've pigeonholed themselves because their whole thing is this is just so that we can see if we can go to the moon again. So they're planning to go back to the moon again. I think it like what 28, like when at the end of the term. So how are they gonna do that? And then you're gonna have to have the lander there, like George was saying. Where's the lander and the flag and all that? I don't know, man.
Why'd we ever stop going? Supposedly, if we've already been there, why'd we ever stop? That's not our nature.
Jesus,
That's not in our
Rebels, you
human nature.
sicko.
Our human nature is to take something over. Like right now, they're probably planning to go back up there, saying to make a military base. Because whoever controlled the moon, if you could get up there,
Oh, hold on, I
would
gotta
control the Earth.
hold on here. Let me
It's a military strategic base
Yeah,
to have.
hold on, we got a
control the
guest.
world with that.
Please welcome our special guest, everyone.
It's just my theory. I believe
Welcome, Cornbread Man. How you doing,
Hey,
Cornbread?
Corn.
cornbread.
Take it away, Cornbread. It's your show now. We'll all be quiet. Let Cornbread speak. Yeah, they're saying they're supposed to go back to the moon. I don't know. Like I just don't know if I buy any of this. And then the main argument I have is every time when I see this, I'm like, why the fuck are we still using 50s technology and all this bullshit?
Because Jack Parson owns the thing to it.
I don't know, man. More questions than answers.
Yeah, you expect normalcy when they're lying.
Eric says, here's the deal. The only realistic thing to do with the moon is to build a station without humans on it, robots or machines. Well, Elon thinks he's going to go to Mars, but that's going to be like 10 generations from now.
And you're not coming back either, whoever goes. They're
Oh,
fucked.
you're that's it. You're there. Keep it down, Cornbread Man.
So loud.
If the moon is even a real physical place to put anything on it, you know.
Well, when they smashed the lander into it, it rang like a fucking bell. Remember that?
I buy it as
Every
much
board.
as there is a dual engine F-35. No, the F-55. I doubt that's ever going to be made. Honestly, I don't see that happening. But there is no dual engine F-35. I don't think there ever will be. Let's see. It's called nepotism. What's called nepotism? What are we talking about?
Hmm.
All right, let's.
Has anybody heard from Ant since he got his channel struck?
Yeah. He's going to fight it, he told me. That's the last I heard out of him.
Well, my friend in Texas, I've been asking him because I keep hearing about North Texas as being taken over by the Indians, like the Jews.
The natives?
Yeah, like the Jews were taking over that other town we were watching where the guy was.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, let's see what's going on here.
Frisco, Texas, a once quiet farm town.
Oh, it's the same
home to
guy.
one of the largest and fastest growing
not
Indian
it.
communities in America.
Oh,
We've
the
up-
dot on the head Indians, not us.
I'm an H1B.
It's the
Motherland,
Diwalis.
India, or Texas,
Yeah.
USA.
Obviously,
Indians.
Motherland India.
Obviously.
Obviously,
Fuck
Motherland India.
As the
them.
Indian population exploded from 3% to 33% of the population since the year 2000. Many Texans are outraged, declaring there has been an Indian invasion. But how are all these Indians coming to Texas? And is Frisco the only town in Texas where Indians are seemingly spawning out of thin air? I pulled up to the Frisco Town Hall meeting to witness the clash of heritage Texans and their new Indian neighbors. We need more or less H-1B people here.
We need a lot less.
Why?
I got laid off 20 years ago. I worked in IT. I have 2 master's degree. I was making over $100,000 a year. They said, you're too expensive. We're going to hire Indian. But I haven't been able to find a job in IT since. And it's really sad.
And you know what? I don't have another home in India. I don't have another home in Bangladesh. I don't have another home. I can't move to Somalia. I won't be able to live there. I'll die. This is my home. The devil would say, well, you're racist. That's racist. According to the devil's dictionary definition of the term, I am racist.
There's been a takeover in Frisco of the Indian population and a lot of concerned citizens, and I'm leading the way asking questions. And I made this because
That sounds like
corporations
me on
own
the
Frisco.
internet
I'm a
sometimes.
lifelong Texan turned
Thank
T-Mobile
you. Come
whistleblower. I
again.
started talking about H-1B because T-Mobile uses H-1B to employ foreigners while they're laying off Americans right down the street. You know, the Indian population in Frisco has exploded 33% of the population over the past 20 years, a 4,510% increase. And you know, there might be a lot of people here that are coming here legally, but there also seems to be some red flags with the H-1B visa program. And the question is, are Indian people using that to bring people over?
So you're telling me Frisco's turning into Little Mumbai at this rate?
That's what people like to call it these days.
I'm America first. I'm pro-American.
USA.
Yeah,
USA.
I think it's a good sign. People whoever has done the fraud, they should be brought to the justice. And I'm now running for the Justice of Peace in Texas.
Justice of Peace.
Yes.
What's your name?
Martin Paretti.
Martin Preti.
Yeah. I want everybody enjoy the life, but at the end of the day, we want to do it right.
My beef isn't with the
20
Indian
years
people.
from
It's with the
now.
system that are allowing them to do what we are experiencing here.
Is there sufficient talent in America? Do we need infinite H-1Bs, so to speak?
We do have enough talent in America. I strongly believe because the Americans landed on the moon. When all of these H-1Bs even born.
To be fair, we did borrow a few Germans.
You see, we got a lot of natural citizens also became
Oh, yeah, we
Americans,
got it on
right?
the
So they
moon,
also getting
yeah.
laid off.
Do you think there should be a strong limitation on the number of
I'm
H-1Bs?
advocate for the
H-1Bs?
limiting the H-1Bs. India is a great country. We respect pluralism, and most of Indians they enjoy the American part of the American society. And I know you guys like the Indian food a lot too, right?
This is true. I do enjoy tikka masala.
Yeah. If we turn away from God and the Word of God, if we worship these Indians, these Somalis, if we just give everything to them, willing to cut your own throat, we'll die. H-1Bs are the scapegoats.
Yep,
The
he's
employers.
right.
Those are the people who have to investigate it. You know, even in one of my friends told in Dallas, most of Indians don't follow the practice of the caste. If you're not in the same caste, they will let you go. It happened in Dallas.
So casteism is happening here in Texas.
Yes, absolutely.
My heart for all immigrant people, but man, we got to do it the right way.
I want to ask you, infinite legal immigration that will still alter the fabric of any place, right?
Correct.
Would you be a proponent of infinite legal immigration?
Don't understand quite what you're saying, but yes, I mean, if it's done legal, if it's done the right way, yes, because to what I've seen, countries have been blessed when immigration is involved. When you got different kinds of groups involved, doing it the right way, following the rule of law, I think it's a good thing.
But if the law has allowed Frisco's Indian population to go from less than 2% to almost 20% Indian in the last 20 years, turning Frisco into a majority-minority city, is the intent of these work visas bringing Indians to America to support our labor force or to replace it altogether?
This is insurrection. This is the overthrow of the United States government, which is why 20 million people walked across that border. I can't go to Somalia and live, or Mexico. This is my home, America. The H-1B visas, we don't need them. We don't, not right now, someday, but not now.
And now, as of late 2025, T-Mobile USA opened a global technology hub in Hyderabad, India that employs thousands of Indians while they're laying off Texans and Americans. They've even sent Americans to go train these Indians in India. T-Mobile USA could have easily opened up this technology hub in the United States of America, and they could have ran it out of one of the two Frisco offices.
Yeah, you know that guy, Mike Lee? That guy's a real piece of shit. He was the
Oh,
one.
yeah.
He's the one that got the bill passed for this H-1B crap.
Yeah, I know. He's a piece of work.
So
Well, he talks
that guy-
shit.
That guy is right. That's fucked that they have to go and train the Indians how to do their fucking job.
Dude, almost all people train their people that replace them now. It's fucking normal.
Yeah, but they're training fucking. They're not training Americans. They're training fucking Indians.
They don't give a fuck about us anymore. And once you stop fucking working, they don't give a fuck about you. They want you dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Offices on Warren Parkway. On top of that, T-Mobile spent $81.5 million on salaries for H-1B employees in the United States in 2025. All salaries that could have went to Americans. Is it a coincidence that T-Mobile has a new Indian CEO as of November last year? Probably not.
We are the entrepreneurs, high-skilled professionals, fueling the tech and medical corridors that make our Collin County a national leader. In Frisco, you will find us serving in our churches, seeking peace in our temples, practicing charity at our mosques. We are guided by timeless wisdom that transcends borders.
Indian Americans play a crucial role in Frisco's growth. Many work in high-demand fields such as technology, healthcare, engineering, finance, and entrepreneurship.
My name is Shri. My name is Ardav. My name is Siddharth. Hi, my name is Mathila. Hi, my name is Anvika.
Indian Americans make up 1.6% of the population that are responsible for $200 billion in taxes, have the lowest crime rate. And over the last couple of years, we've seen some of the greatest polarizations in the history of America. People are upset. The American dream is alive and well here, and it's not because the streets are paved with gold, it's paved with the ingots of possibilities.
Every person in this room right now, their ancestors have come from a different country, a different continent. Despite these positive contributions, Indian Americans sometimes face discrimination or hate.
I urge the council and the residents to reject such a rhetoric that divides residents based on what or where they came from.
Let me be clear here. There has been no credible evidence presented to any widespread H-1B visa fraud in this city.
What the
Today,
hell
many
is
Indian
that
families are
about?
living in fear.
No.
Replace it with reality. Unqualified Indian and Muslim workers scamming Americans out of jobs, stealing tax dollars, and destroying our nation in Texas. And the funniest part, if these were truly high-skilled Germans or Poles, we'd welcome the net positive. Instead, we get low-quality scammers with fake degrees abusing our systems meant for generational Americans.
And America is an idea.
Damn.
It lives in the hearts Of all of us, the 243,000 residents of Frisco, and I say this with love, thank you all for being here.
He said America is an idea. Do you agree with that?
I think it's more than an idea. And I made sure that, he made a point that the Indian population in America is 1.6%. Well, in the city that he's running city council, it's 33%. So it's pretty obvious that there's a problem going on here.
Let's say we have infinite legal immigration. Is it better than illegal immigration?
It's funny because we've almost been tricked. We've been marketed this thing where we believe it is good to import people for jobs that we can't sufficiently do. We built the jobs. You're telling the people who built the jobs we can't do the jobs. So it almost sounds like scam. Well, they threaten them with the H-1B visa and they hold that over their head because if they don't work a certain amount of hours, they won't sponsor them. So they can't threaten you with being able to go back home because your home is in America, or is America, like the United States if you're an American citizen. So, and they can just work them to the bones.
So I headed into the heart of Frisco to speak to some of these elite H-1B engineers we've imported from India to save our economy from our unqualified, lazy American labor force. There is the Karya Sidhu Hanuman Temple, the god of courage. Where are you from?
I'm from Andhra Pradesh. From Karnataka. I'm from India.
South India. Hyderabad? Are you from Hyderabad?
Yes, I am.
Really?
I'm from Chennai.
Are you here on like H-1B?
No, right now still I am my student visa.
see, like
so
F1.
yeah, yesterday the H1B results got rolled out, so I'm just waiting for my decision.
Yeah, I'm on a phone. Waiting for the same results.
Are you anxious right now?
Let's hope for the best. I work in a company, software company.
Software?
Yeah.
And are you H-1B?
Yes.
So if I get my H1B, I can stay here for more 5 years.
What happens if you don't?
I still have my time, like almost 2 years from now.
2 more years.
So maybe I need to try for a different visa, or else like go back together.
I'm an H1B.
H-1B. Did you come here as H-1B?
No, I studied here.
So F1, OPT, H-1B? Okay, it seems like that's the common pipeline. Come here as international student, get green card?
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what I did.
Have you seen the new wave of people from Telugu?
A lot of them, yeah.
A lot of them?
Yeah, lately, yeah.
How long you been in the States?
Around 10 years.
Are you on H-1B?
I graduated.
Okay. Okay. Are you like on F1 visa? I see. Why did you end up here in Frisco? Did you have friends and family here?
Yes.
Okay.
This is actually my uncle's.
Uncle's restaurant? Yeah. Your goal to go from F1 to OPT to H-1B?
God damn.
Okay. Motherland India or Texas, USA?
No, obviously motherland.
Look over
India.
everything.
Obviously, motherland India. My motherland is India because I'm born and brought there, grow here, and I'm here to serve the US. So I can say the second land for me is US because I'm getting here. The US give me the respect, job, and the good opportunity. I'm planning to go back to India. So
your daughter, is she a citizen of the US?
Yes, she is.
Okay, so you're gonna bring her back to India one day?
Definitely yes.
Whoa, that might be challenging for her. Hyderabad or Frisco,
Well, at
Texas
least
more?
he's going back.
Hyderabad, of course. Then I have to ask, why are you here in Frisco?
I had to. Feels like I'm still in my hometown.
Really?
Think you're
Everybody
flying
from my
perfect
hometown
back?
is-
Wow. So you moved all the way from Hyderabad, thousands of miles away? To Hyderabad in Texas. The India Bazaar is right there. I want to see if we can find some F1 students in this 7-Eleven. And secondly, I want to see the moment I walk in there if I will be met with an Indian cashier. Hello, question for you. Are you on F1? Are you F1 student? Okay, are you H1B? Yeah. You're H1B? Working here at 7-Eleven? Okay, where are you from?
India.
Where in India?
Anga.
Anga?
Yeah.
Is that close to Hyderabad?
thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to call them manager.
Okay. And do you work in IT?
Yeah, I work in IT.
Yeah, I'm working with Walmart here as a software engineer. Yeah.
I'm into IT. I work for a company.
IT?
Yeah, yes.
I knew it.
I do work for IT.
IT. Why do they dominate IT?
Just dominate IT because they have a master's degree in computer science. They study back in India.
Okay.
They complete engineering, and that's how they just dominate. I'm a student.
Student right now.
Yeah.
And you work in IT?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, are you F1 visa holder? So as an F1 visa, how many hours can you work per week?
40 hours.
And is it legal to work full-time on an F1 visa?
Yes.
That's a nice cheese string right there. Who would have thought? Chicken tandoori pizza before GTA 6. Well, Frisco has become Dallas's unofficial Little India. You can find H-1B Indian spawn points all the way up in small Texas towns like Argyle, Texas. Okay, we're in a little Indian suburb near Denton. We're in Argyle, Texas. Lots of Indians. But how did they get here? And why are they in this small, semi-rural suburban town? You gotta tell me, as a Pakistani, why are there so many Indians here?
I don't know. They come on IT.
Are a lot of F1s working here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Illegally, right? Illegally. I knew it.
They don't even pay right amount for these people, you know.
How much?
Like hours and hours, they pay low here.
They pay low here. Should I expose them? Hello, who's the manager here? Is there a manager here? Are you the manager? Are you the manager? Yeah, I have permission. I'm here to ask you, are you paying F1 students illegal rates?
No students.
No? You have paperwork?
Yes.
Yeah, you pay them legal rates? Are you sure?
Yes, sure.
Do you own the store?
I'm the manager, right?
What visa are you on?
I'm on a work visa.
On a work visa. H-1B?
I have a work visa. I don't want to reveal.
I was told on good authority there may be some F1 employees here being paid under the table illegal rates. That's what I'm asking you. Is that true or false?
Sir, this is a busy time.
Is it true
so
or is it
we can
false?
talk outside.
Where are you from?
I'm from India.
Hyderabad.
I'm from India, Hyderabad.
Do you notice the pattern here? Like this?
They're
and
from
the-
India?
No, I'm talking about like this and the Jews.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing, same pattern.
They're just you take a bunch of these people and put them into these areas, and they take over the whole
Damn it.
fucking thing. Thank God this is northern Texas, not where my friend is, at least.
Yeah, but it's going to spread all over the whole fucking country. They're balkanizing us.
I'm from Hyderabad.
Is it Hyderabad?
Yeah. In India.
Okay, Hyderabad?
In the same state, but in a different city.
What visa are you on? F1 student? What do you study?
Computer science.
I'm on green card.
22 specific.
I study
Yes, you could.
condoms.
Oh, you don't want it? Why?
My wish.
I see. I imagine you're on not an F1 if you're working, right? Okay.
I'm a TN visa. I'm from India.
Okay, so your green card.
Yeah.
Would you prefer India or USA?
US is good. Why not
Okay.
US? That's why I'm here.
Is your wife here?
No, yes, here. But yeah.
Is she on a? Is she also on a visa?
No, she's not. She's on the same green card with me.
Same green card.
Yes.
And do you have kids?
Yes, yes, sir.
And
Yes.
are they here?
Yes, they are here. They're going to school.
Okay,
Everything
so-
is there. Born and raised here. Everything is
Oh, born and raised here.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you work in?
Software. Engineer. Software.
Software engineer. Did you get a college education in India or the USA?
India. Yeah, I work in IT.
IT. Why are Indians so good at software engineering?
That takes a lot of math,
Brainpower?
physics.
I came here on F1, but then I converted to H1. And
So you came on F1 and then graduated to H1?
Yeah.
How hard was that process?
It was cool, actually.
I'm from Canada.
You're from Canada?
Yeah.
So you came from India to Canada to Texas?
Yes.
Most people who come here on an F1 have the intention to get an H1?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think that's fraudulent?
No.
No.
Because it is valid that you can convert from H1 to H1. That is the reason most of the people come here.
But isn't F1 just for people who are coming here to study and not to work?
Yes.
Do you think it's a bit of a fraud to come here to study and then end up...
Go back too.
Oh, did you go back before you got the H1?
No.
Okay, so you came here on F1?
Oh, yes.
And now you're...
TN.
Are they getting paid legal minimum wage in Texas?
Here no F1 students working.
No
Here
F1
all-
students?
Here all I have work permit. We have all
On
work permit
OPT?
students. Sorry?
F1, H1B, O1?
I have a work authorization. My employers have all work
Because of the
authorization.
So you're
thing,
not
you're
employing any
mad.
F1 students? On the record, yes or no?
No.
You promise me?
Yes.
You would swear to God?
Yes.
Swear on your mother's name?
Why you are asking like that questions?
Obviously, the H1B is a non-immigrant
Yeah, pretty
visa. When will
much.
you be going back to India?
We are thinking to go soon, but we are not sure.
Put it in the bud.
And how have you liked Texas thus far?
It's good. I like US. I like India more. That is the reason I'm trying to go back. Basically, at the end of the day, our family is important, right? Our family is in India, so we need to go back to India.
I see. Are you married here?
Yep.
Is he also on H1B?
Yes.
So 2 H1Bs, and do you guys have children?
Yes.
Were they born and raised here?
Yes.
So come here, do this bullshit, make a bunch of money, and then take it back to your shithole country. At least they're leaving. I'll give them that much. They don't fucking stay here like the Jews and the Muslims. They just try to keep taking over. These people are at least, well, we're just going to make money and go back to our shithole country for some reason.
Do your children have Indian citizenship as well?
No.
No, okay.
I told you, right? If you want records to come with the legal, okay? I can show all my employee information. But
Let's see.
I don't want to.
Okay, you're going to show me the paperwork or what?
Me, Eric.
You don't have to write to come inside.
I just did.
You can just,
Why don't you just show me the paperwork and I'll be on my way? Do you illegally pay F1 students, yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. I hope not.
Yeah.
Hi, man. When I asked him to swear on his mother's name, he poshed it up. I thought he was going to throw down. I thought I was going to get punched for the first time in my life by an Indian. So this is a meme right now. Please be patient, student driver. This is kind of a joke, a meme online because there's so many of them. Are you a student driver?
No, I'm not.
Why do you have the student driver sticker?
No, why are you taking video?
We're doing a survey for people that have student driver stickers.
I'm not a student.
Do you have a student driver in your family?
Before I'm a student driver, so I kept it. I forgot to remove it.
How old are you?
30.
I have a sticker which I put it
You
inside
have a
my.
student driver sticker?
That's for my girlfriend's cell.
Come on. So your girlfriend has a student driver sticker.
And she has a student driver
Is
license.
your girlfriend a little girl?
No.
How old is she?
She's about 30. She just started driving. She wouldn't drive, learning to drive.
I see. Did she know how to drive in India?
Yeah.
I see. So it's a difficult translation over here?
Yeah, it's left to right and all that stuff. Probably she did her course 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Generally, it looks a little scammy almost.
Sure, yeah. Now I know. That's a great thing. I
Okay.
know that.
Is that your sticker?
Yes.
It is. Are you a student driver?
No.
Why do you have that sticker?
My kid sometimes drives.
I see. But if so many of these highly specialized H-1B Indians first came to America to study at our colleges and then stayed here until they got an H-1B visa to work, then why exactly aren't American students educated in the same schools qualified to work the jobs we've been told we need these Indians for? Are Indians somehow vastly more overqualified than every other nationality on the planet and therefore receive 70% of America's H-1B visas? I met up with Mavash Siddiqui, a U.S. Foreign Service officer with 21 years of experience in national
someone's
security
pockets are
and
getting
foreign policy,
lined.
who worked as a visa officer at the U.S. consulate
That's
in
what I
India
think.
to understand what's going on.
Time to
here.
kick
I'm not
these
representing
fucks
the US
out of our
government. I'm not
country.
representing any other entity. It is just me, myself, and I speaking from my personal experience
Me,
as
myself,
a consular
and I.
officer in India, which was 20 years ago. So an H-1B visa is a guest worker visa. It's a temporary status visa. You abide by the laws of the United States as a non-immigrant, and then your permanent residence needs to be in India, so you have to return back. When I served in India, my job was initially to basically focus on what is known as non-immigrant visas, that it is a travel document which is meant for temporary visitors. What I saw in terms of industrialized fraud was there was systemic corruption and fraud happening because everybody and their mother wanted to go to the United States. In that jurisdiction of Chennai, we were mainly seeing a lot of fraud patterns come from Telangana, the Telugu community, and really ravenous hunger amongst the 16 to 45 years of age people to basically use the visa loophole in order to cut the line and actually emigrate to the US. So the intent was to come to the US, work here, find an avaricious lawyer, go to the Department of Homeland Security, change the status from like a visitor visa to a permanent residence. This hunger and craving that I saw created this systemic, massive ecosystem of fraud. For instance, when I went as part of the fraud management unit to this place called Hyderabad, there is a huge back industry called Amirpet. There's a visa industry where you have storefronts after storefronts focused on basically creating fraudulent documents. A lot of F1 students, I'll give you an example. There were 400 of them and they all had the same bank documents, but they had the guts to present these documents, which basically were fake transcripts, fake bank
Do not
statements,
redeem.
and also, fake degree certificates or high school
Do not
diplomas,
redeem.
etc.
Do
So
not
it was
redeem,
industrialized in the
my
sense of a
friend.
factory
countries, and they also had these storefronts saying green card would be possible within 6 months, kind of thing. Like, we were just like so overwhelmed that there was this pressure to issue, right?
Where was this pressure coming from?
The U.S. Embassy in Delhi had obviously a political appointee ambassador. This is during the George W. Bush days, and then we had obviously the consul general, but there were politicians who were pressuring, whether from the South India arena or from Delhi itself, saying you need to issue visas in order to make a better, stronger bilateral relationship happen. Even if that individual is not qualified, at one point we had this ludicrous pressure to say that person is not a terrorist, go ahead and issue thing. And so we started the system in Chennai to revoke H-1B visas where we saw a lot of fraud happen. The United States spits out 150,000 people a year. Amongst 800,000 students, you have 100,000 who've gone through this rigorous computer science coursework, and then they're told they don't have an opportunity to work in our industry. But then you have these Indian H-1Bs come in with just a Microsoft certification. Some even had the guts to present us with graphic designing, which is very different from taking C, C++, assembly language, SQL, third-degree calculus. That's very different. So it's just interesting how we had a very hard time revoking these, because it's not like a simple revocation. It's a bit of a uphill battle for a public servant or a consular officer to revoke those, where the burden of proof falls on me. After a long, grueling day of interviewing 200 people, you have a stack of these H-1B revocations that you have to type up and send to the Department of Homeland Security and say, this is why we suspect fraud, which means, you're providing pictures and documents and a narrative and et cetera, et cetera. We don't have that luxury of time. So I saw the cracks and I warned people.
Are these H-1B visa holders superior to Americans in every way imaginable?
Absolutely not in streaming letters, NOT. So that's the halo effect that they have benefited from, essentially because of, the Indian lobby. Everyone's benefiting in this whole.
All right, I'm getting burnt out on this already, but you get the gist of what this bullshit is.
Diwali.
They're just doing the same thing they learned from the Muslims and the Jews. We're just, the Muslims are over here and the Jews are over there, so we'll just go and take this piece for us over here. Rebels. What the fucking what happened to Mary? She just totally disappeared, man. I don't know. I haven't seen her in a long time. She
probably got married.
No, because I know her boyfriend's that guy that works for Eric July.
Oh, that sucks.
All right, here we go. We'll get to the main event here.
The main event.
So, Bob Lazar went on Rogan here, and he did a movie recently called S4. We're going to talk about this.
You did what now?
There's a movie called S4. It's about Bob Lazar. I haven't watched it yet. I'll watch it soon. But
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Hey, Joe. Great to see you again, Bob.
Same here. Long time.
Luigi.
Joe.
You are still to this date the most watched ever podcast we have ever done that's on YouTube.
That's just unreal. It's unreal.
It is unreal because it shows you how many people are just absolutely fascinated by the story. And what you guys have done in this new film is essentially recreate S4.
Oh, Rebel said she does Harry Potter videos now.
Recreate you as a young man in these experiences that you had. And it was really excellent. Luigi, you're the one who put the film together. You figured it all out. And first of all, what was the technology that you guys used to recreate everything you did?
I just want to say there's about 10% AI in the film, but there's 90% Blender. And that's actually handmade CGI. So everything you see is all handmade. And even the de-aging of Bob Lazar, we scanned Bob, we went over to his house, scanned his face, took a process of de-aging him through that, then creating a digital model of Bob in different ages, and then placing him in the environment. And then in some instances, at the very end, we perfected or kind of put a bow on it with a little touch of AI, but the whole thing is handmade. So the craft, the environment, the Papoose Lake, the facility, the equipment, and the people were all made. And some of the people are actually real actors that we put in there. So it's not, there's one of the guys that is Barry in the film is a guy called Luis Martinez that's been working with me for the past 10 years, and he laughs at it because he goes, I can't believe I'm Barry, so.
Does he look anything like Barry?
Actually, he does. He does.
That's why we chose him.
Yeah.
Where's the actual Barry now?
I don't know. I kind of thought at one point after all this happened, we would at least hear from one of those guys.
I'm surprised they haven't whacked
I never
him
heard from
yet.
anybody after the initial.
They're probably afraid to.
release of all
Like
the
they said,
information,
he's the most popular.
It seems like, well, I don't know. If people are
I've
able
been
to keep
watching him
secrets
since
for
I
this
was a little
long,
fucking
it's got to be
kid.
very difficult to just blurt it out. Like, if you're holding on to a secret for 20, 30, 40 years, it's like.
I guess these guys were lifers, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent most of their time there. They spent at least 2 weeks at a time and had 1 week off. So they stayed at the base. I mean, these guys were hardcore. I had just come in on the project, so I don't know what happened to him. I'd love to know. I suspect that Dennis Mariani, my supervisor, died. I've seen people track him down, all the way to point to speaking to his family, and they said, yeah, he had some classified job out in the desert or something, and they showed me his gravestone and stuff, so, at least they were able to track him down, but I've never heard of any leads on Barry or Renee or anybody like that.
What is it like seeing the recreation of it in a film? Because, I mean, essentially it was your direction, for lack of a better word, your description of it, you telling them exactly how everything was laid out, and then once they recreated it, what is that feeling like when you watch it?
Well, the final product is absolutely mind-blowing because, as I've said to Luigi, it looks like you guys downloaded
real,
that
Eric.
out of my brain.
Yeah, he's real as fuck.
You can describe something 100 times, and until you actually make a picture, it doesn't become clear. But this took years. I think it was like 5.5 years from when I first
you can't
met
fucking deny
Luigi. And he
it.
said,
You
yeah,
know
I can
that?
do this. And
I watched this
the quality
the other
kept
night.
improving to where he started showing me pictures, and
I haven't seen it yet, but I've been watching
that's
since
really
I was a little
It's
kid.
not really it. It's
I
really it.
fell asleep
And,
watching this.
I mean, it blew me away. Later on, he showed me a 3D environment
I
where I
tried
could put
to fall
goggles on
asleep
and move around
watching it, actually,
inside.
just
I
Man,
mean,
when
that
he
made
first
my hair
came on
stand
our
up
belt,
sometimes.
it was like, what the
unbelievable.
fuck?
So,
He's like, he ripped the curtain
I don't know if I
back.
could really describe how that made me feel, but it
I'm
felt like I was
surprised they didn't
teleported
chase
back
him out of the
there. And
country like
that's,
did
that's
that
what
guy
really
that gave up
I
all their
developed.
fucking spying bullshit. You know that?
He has a hydrogen Corvette. I showed it before. I've actually seen this thing. I said, what's the mileage on this thing? He said he can drive it from California to New York and back before he has to refuel. You imagine
Damn.
that? And
Must
it's
be
not
nice.
and it's not an explosive hydrogen either, like most people think. That's why most people are scared of hydrogen.
No, hydrogen power is fucking not not reactive. It's fucking passive.
Yeah, most of it. I mean, there's some that it is, but it's like not what they're using. That's the thing.
Eric says that it seems fake to him. That engine that you just said you saw.
No, there's a video of it. I showed it before. I've seen it firsthand, man. I watched them drive it around and everything. It was crazy. Actual hydrogen fucking car, man. But
So you could piss in the tank and fucking it would run then.
he says on the video, he goes, "Don't smoke around the car, though."
Yeah, I think it would probably blow the fuck
Oh yeah, the vapors would fucking blow the fuck up.
An admiration for Luigi's talent. I said, I'm behind this, and flew out to Canada a couple times. I didn't have much to do with the film other than, I guess, a couple times going out there and going, no, that's right, that's the wrong color, move this here, do that. And but those guys spent over 3 years working on it, and they never showed me anything. I'd speak to Luigi, a couple times a month, and he'd always say,
Luigi,
oh my God, you won't believe this. I said,
and your brother Mario.
No, it's not done yet. So I really didn't get it to see anything till close to the end. But when I did, really, without trying to sound dramatic, it really put tears in my eyes, going that's it, you did it, just stop, it's perfect.
Well,
So,
I had the pleasure of watching the movie with you and sitting there with you. There was a bunch of times in the movie you're like,
yeah,
like you could tell.
Yeah.
Just
I
like,
swear I could feel that place. I could feel it watching that movie. It really freaks me out because, as I said before, it's not like what I saw. It's exactly what I saw. It's perfect. It's just like Luigi was at S4 with a camera. So
it was very unique.
It worked.
It's a very unique documentary in that regard. And watching it with you, seeing you experience this thing, and then me trying to imagine what it's like for you. You're this young scientist who gets brought in on this thing without much explanation, and then all of a sudden you're confronted by this craft. And you know the way it's broken down in the film, and you get to actually see you viewing this thing and being in the presence of this thing for the first time. It's just I could just only imagine what that must have been like for you. And it's so weird to watch you watch
like
again,
Joe's
see
a
your
true
wheels
believer
spin.
in this.
What the fuck happened to my life, man?
Right.
What did they do to me? What did they make me experience? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I really can't fill in the blanks there. It's
I want to just say that there was a time when Bob got angry at me a lot because I wouldn't show him. And he was like, come on, show me. And I said, it's not ready yet. I don't want to show you something. But at a certain point, we had to. And Bob started remembering more stuff. when
Yeah,
you
that's
saw
true.
It,
It really made a big difference when he showed me something. And walking down the corridor here and turn. Oh, stop! Wait, there's another door there. I mean, it was like I was going back
Amen,
into the
Eric,
facility,
but this is
and really
nothing
brought.
to do with that.
Actually seeing it again really brought
There's
some
more
things
in
back
this
that I had
universe than
completely
there are
forgotten
in your
about.
philosophy, Eric.
But what's really fascinating is, for people that don't know your story, you came up with the story, you talked to George Knapp, and was it 89?
88, 89, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So late 80s, you've essentially told the exact same story all these years. And then within the last, 9-10 years, we've started to get all these reports. There was the New York Times story, there was the Go Fast video and the FLIR video, and all these videos that show a craft that's moving the way you described this sport model,
Right.
which kind of freaked a lot of people out with the way it rotated and turned.
Yeah, it does the belly roll, faces at the bottom towards where it's going to go, and then it takes off. And yeah,
it's exactly how you described all those years ago, which is really fucking crazy.
Well, that's the way it was.
But it's crazy because you had this story way back then, and everybody's like, this guy's just making things up. This is all cockamamie bullshit. And then you see those videos from these fighter jets, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. It's moving the exact same way he described. It's doing what he described in 1989.
Yeah.
Time to take a drink. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's so weird. I mean, I've had so many conversations with people, and one of the things that comes up is, do you think Bob Lazar's telling the truth? And I say, look, I don't know. There's no way I can know, but he doesn't seem like he's lying. I've been around a lot of liars.
Look, nobody can know unless you're there. I'm the biggest skeptic of all. Although if you look at Wikipedia, it says I'm a conspiracy
theorist or
something.
I think it says I'm a far-right podcaster.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. But that's my train of thought now.
Well, basically, are you a conspiracy theorist? No, you don't even look at this stuff.
Well, if you have a lie, you have one lie, and it's amazing because you've told the same one. For all these years.
It's a pretty detailed lie.
It's also not normal. Like normally, when people lie, they get bored with the same lie, and then they come up with another lie, and then there's some other story. You catch them. Eventually, you catch them. There's some cockamamie new thing that they come up with, and it's the type of people that are that deceptive. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit the standard model of someone.
Well, there are other people involved with it.
Yes,
I mean,
that's also part of the
this is for the first time Gene Huff finally is on film, because when I had the test flight information, it was he was the first person I told about that, and we were all able to go out and see it, and so everybody knew that I wasn't crazy. It was,
and then also all the confirmation that you were being fucked with. That when you were in the gym, they would show up and open up your locked car doors and open up your trunk and leave it there, so you go out there and see it. They'd go to your house when you weren't there.
Yeah, they were even right. They were even following George Knapp and I mean, all of us, anybody that had anything to do with it at that time, they were keeping eyes on. It was
not just eyes, but a lot of intimidation tactics, just letting you know that they could touch you.
Yeah. So I've really worked for decades to push this out of my mind, so it's always tough to bring it back, and talk about it. And although it might be funny now, it wasn't funny then at all. It was a really stressful time, and still is a very stressful thing for me.
I know it's so many years ago, but do you remember the thought that came in your mind when you realized that it wasn't ours?
Do I remember the thought?
Do you remember the experience?
Yeah, I remember the feeling.
Of recognize, because initially you saw the American flag sticker.
Yeah, when I saw the American flag, when I first went in, the first time I went in through the hangar door instead of around the back, slid my hand across it, saw the American flag, and I thought, oh my God, this explains the UFO nuts,
It's ours.
Yeah, this is ours. This is a new top secret fighter. We came up with a new propulsion system, and, it explains everything, because I never believed in flying saucers. I thought people were nuts.
Did you see that, Hargrave?
But when they started reviewing everything with me, they were trying.
Have you ever been
I was
to
trying to replace
Thailand?
somebody, or they were trying to use me to replace somebody as quick as possible.
comment.
They had two directives. Directive one was to duplicate the technology with available material at any cost, which is verbatim what it was. And directive two was to be able to disable this technology at a distance at any cost. And once you start thinking about that, wait, don't you guys know how the thing you built worked? And it's kind of like they left that out. That this, by the way, this isn't ours. And Barry is the guy that filled me in going, no, this is an alien craft. And we need to figure out how this works. Look at the technology here. I mean, this is decades, light years ahead of where we are. And it was a shock, really, to me. I remember going home that night and just laying in bed and reviewing everything that everybody said that day. And I really don't remember how I felt the following days, but it was just a different feeling.
Like the world just changed.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. I really can't put it into words.
Well, I couldn't imagine. What that experience is like. And it's also very strange that they would bring you in and not specifically state to you that this is not ours. They just bring you in and just give you a directive. This is what you were trying to accomplish.
Well, they gave me a bunch of briefings. Everything was moving at a very fast pace, and I don't know why. I think I mentioned in the movie, right prior to I got there were Russians involved, and from what I can ascertain, there was an exchange of information, and then we discovered something of great importance, and of course, kicked the Russians out and just held on to that information ourselves. And there was kind of a knowledge vacuum there. There was also an accident, and I was told I was replacing someone that was injured. I believe he actually died.
There's no record of who this person was, or has anybody ever tried to figure it out?
I don't know. I don't have any names. I just know that Barry told me, I'm replacing somebody that he used to work with. And he was without a lab partner for a while. So when I came in there...
how long's a while?
I don't know. But I mean, that brings up a good point.
first of all, we're dealing with alien or another civilization technology, whether it, it's from another dimension, another time, another planet. I mean, who really knows? So I'll eventually get to answer the question here, but wouldn't you think this place would be more like the lunar receiving lab, where everything is white, so you can see a speck of dust. Everything is sterile. People are being extremely careful with what they're doing, but you're not seeing that. This is in now something akin to an aircraft hangar in the middle of the desert. There's dust on everything. People are taking everything nonchalantly. There's a friggin' poster about the thing, they're here, poster there.
Thank you, Luigi, for getting me a poster. We got to figure out a place for that. We'll put it in here somewhere.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, they went to the trouble of making a poster. They actually,
I think right here.
That's a good place.
Right there.
That's a good spot right there.
But they actually cut one of the amplifiers out of the craft. So my point is,
this is in the film as well. You can see.
Yeah, but my point is, it's so nonchalant at this point. When they first had it, it had to be at that level, and they became so used to it, so familiar with it, that to them it just became like another fighter aircraft or something from another country. So it must have been there a long time, is what my point is. Because look, as soon as you have something that unique, you don't let it just sit there in a hangar and be exposed to the environment and have security people walking by and people touching it. I mean, it's in an isolated, sealed, secure environment, and they were past that. So I think it had been there for a decade or decades, a long time. And these guys were intimately familiar with it, not afraid of it, and knew what was going on.
So they essentially had gotten just completely acclimated to the fact that this craft exists, that it was there, and there had been relatively little progress as far as figuring it out and figuring out what it does and how to recreate it.
That's just
so
the
it just kind of
sports
sat
model.
there.
Yeah,
and so
I think they were making very little progress. And I think they kept going over the same road again and again, and they probably had other experts there and just didn't.
They were
and
looping.
I think the reason I got hired is because I was a guy out in left field that didn't necessarily follow what was going on. I mean, the biggest distractors to me anyway, in the story, are other scientists, other physicists. Well, they would have hired me because I'm the top guy in the field. Yeah, you probably are. But I think they hired plenty of you guys, and you just kept going down the same road and didn't do anything. I think they were looking for somebody that just would have some radical idea and just to push the project forward, because everything had stalled when I got there. And I think they were just in a desperate move to make some progress.
One of the things you talked about in the first podcast that I think is really important is that the only way for science to really progress is that these various scientists have to be able to communicate. And you have to be able to share ideas, and you have to be able to collaborate. But that's not how this was run, because it was so top secret. Everything was compartmentalized. Like the metallurgists weren't talking to the propulsions people, who weren't talking to, if there were biologics experts. Right. Like everybody
Super frustrating. Because I think, I don't remember exactly where that started. Again, it's 40 years ago. But I think it started with the seats. And no, it started with the actual skin of the craft, because everything looked like it was made from the same material. And I wanted some information about the skin, the superstructure of the craft. And they said, no, that's restricted. We need a reason for you to, I just want to see if everything is exactly the same material. And what I call the seats in the craft, I still don't know if they're the seats, but they might be. I think it'd be hilarious if they were actually something else. But I wanted some information on those, and that was restricted information too. There were other groups working on that. So they compartmentalized stuff so much. There was no exchange of information between any groups. I mean, you could submit a written response that your supervisor, in my case Dennis, would have to carry over, and they would have to approve, and you'd get a 2 or 3 line response from the other group. But that's not how science works. Science works on the free exchange of information, and they were just killing themselves with security. And it was really frustrating. It was terribly frustrating.
So was this a function of security people that are concentrated on top security, that don't truly understand how collaborative science works?
Yeah, that's it right there. You can stop right there. They had no idea how that works.
Because it stands to reason that whatever that thing was made out of probably in some way interacts with the propulsion system and whatever controls that are in it, that this material has to be particularly unique.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. And I suspected the material was an electric. You know what an electric is?
No.
Okay, like a magnet, a permanent magnet is like, it's a magnet. It's forever, it's a magnet.
Right.
It has a magnetic field. An electric is a material that has a permanent static field to it, a static electric field to it.
Like an electric bed.
I strongly suspected that the craft was made out of an electric. And I was not, because again, that's the material science guys, I was not allowed to connect that to, but that's so important to connect it to the propulsion system and how the propulsion system interacts with the amplifier or the emitters. And I wasn't allowed, the information I needed. So it was, I don't know. It was self-defeating. Is what it was.
It seems like they were treating it like a fighter jet or an automobile. Like in an automobile, you have the outer area, the shell of the car. You have the doors, the skins, the hood, the roof, all that stuff, which is. But then you have the propulsion system, which is the engine and the transmission and the tires and the wheels and the suspension. But they're all not connected. They're connected because they're bolted together, but they have different functions.
Right.
I think the idea or the concept, at least as I'm gathering from you, is that this thing all worked as a cohesive unit.
Right. With no physical connection between between the subsystems.
And all of
the thing has no welds on it.
At least on the outside. All made of the same
solid.
material. And
you can tell.
The other crafts all had the same power plant in them. So that brings to mind, like a GM plant that makes a car with a Chevy 350 and makes, a dozen different models to it.
Right.
So that makes you think about, boy, is there a factory making these things? And, your brain can just wander off in directions, but I tried to stick with just the technology.
Did you know who the metallurgists were? The people that
I saw them. I know them. And Barry, we'd go to the lunchroom. Barry would point them out. And
you weren't allowed to communicate with them at all?
Oh, hell no. You have a lab partner, which in my case was Barry, and you're allowed to talk to your lab partner, but you can't talk to any other group. That has to go through a written request, has to go to your supervisor, and he'll bring it over to them, and they'll bring it back, and so on and so forth. But that's ridiculous. That it slows down any progress you might be making.
Which is why they were probably stalled out for decades.
Yeah.
Did you ever expressly communicate to them that you theorized, at least, that this all could be connected? That there's something about the way the metal works?
Oh, we all knew that. Because we'd get requests from other groups. And you could tell they're desperate, just like we are, and fighting against them.
Think about how stupid that is, how they're doing that in there. Nobody can talk to nobody.
Yeah, it's compartmental.
So nobody... Yeah.
It's
plausible
retarded.
deniability.
It's retarded.
Yeah, but it's to keep people from talking about it, so they keep them all separated.
Yeah, but they're holding them all back. They can't get nowhere if they can't talk to each other.
Yeah.
They've done this shit
like
for years.
It's like one guy has an alien gun, the other guy has the clip, and another guy has the bullet, and they're trying to figure out how this gun works, but none of them can talk to each other to put the gun with the clip with the bullet. They're like, no, you got to file a thing and do this to talk to this guy, and I see I see why they're stalling in there, why nothing happens, because nobody can do anything.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's different now since he's left in there.
I don't know. I do want to watch this movie.
The system.
What kind of request would you get?
Yeah, I'm going to watch that
movie. We found
later.
out, where is the energy being transferred here? If the reactor fires up, is there a field present around it, or is the field just absorbed into the emitter and you can touch the, reactor itself? And just little things like that, if, and actually that was an important thing. When the reactor's operating, is it perfectly tuned, the emitter, to where it removes all the energy from the reactor and pushes it out the bottom? And the answer to that was no. I remember that as a specific request from one of the groups. The metallurgy group is the one that we really wanted to hear from. And some of the I don't even know what some of the other groups were. But
how many groups were there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
There were only 22 people there total, including myself. So
I would like for you to tell Joe, one of the things that also interested me, because I built the craft, is how the waveguide worked with the ceiling in the interior and how it blended. If you can explain, there was no telescopic.
Well, this is why we wanted to talk to the metallurgist people. The reactor that sits on the bottom of the craft has a little dome over it, and there's something that looks like a pipe. That's slight. You can lift it up and take the reactor out, put the reactor in, and lift it down. But like a antenna works on an old walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm.
It has different sections.
There it is. There's from the video.
There it is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can retract the pipe, but there's no sections, and it doesn't get any thicker. It just becomes smaller. And if you look underneath, where the they turn, it doesn't buckle. It's a magical material. This is the basis of the craft. Is really the material that it's made of. It's amazing the way it works. You can push it into a smaller volume, and it doesn't change at all. It doesn't get bigger physically. It's I don't really know how to describe it.
So you're lifting the pipe up and down, but it's not going anywhere?
Look, if you got a big pipe and you push it together, it has to get thicker.
Right.
Because the material has to go somewhere. This doesn't. Okay, it stays in exactly the same dimensions. It just becomes smaller.
How?
Yeah, it blends in.
Because you couldn't talk to the metallurgist, so you have no idea.
Yeah, but those guys knew how.
They did know how.
Well,
they know it did it.
They know it did it, and that's their job. So I imagine they have more information than I did. But that was fascinating. It really was. And the waveguides that hold the emitters, they come down, and the emitters can turn and bend and the pipes bend, and nothing changes in them. And there's no wires or anything to make the pipe bend. I'm trying to relate it to something, but I can't think of anything to relate it to.
Well, one thing that you said that I also thought was fascinating, there's no seams. So everything looks like it's 3D printed.
Again, right, it comes down to the material.
Which at the time, 3D printers weren't real, right?
Yeah, at the time that really confused me. I said, how did they build this? It must have been built out of wax or something and then melted, because you can't build anything without seams. And then 3D printing came into existence, and you could build stuff from layers up. That made sense. The 3D, they grew it in some, of course it's not a crystalline fashion, but I don't know how that was fabricated, but it was fabricated different than anything that we have. I don't even think it was 3D printed.
And so you never got any inkling or any understanding of what the metal was, what kind of an alloy, what it consisted of?
All I can say, it was cold to the touch because when I touched it, but I can't say if it was a ceramic or I'd say it was metal because it was cold.
Because it looks like metal. And this is
it looks like metal.
This is the Designs by Perry version of it. How much does that look like it?
No, it's 100%. That's it. Yeah,
it's got to have the first ripple supposed to be black.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
See?
Yeah.
So Luigi has gone over this.
I mean, I built
so many
this thing,
times.
so,
yeah. There's an insulator ring. In
Jimmy, show what it looks like in the film. If you could show one of the images.
I don't. I was pulling off the trailer, and they might not have been holding that back. Oh,
yeah, on the trailer,
there's a ring.
Shots.
Yeah, there's a ring around it, and we measured the voltage on the craft, and there was a high voltage on it. And above that ring, there is.
This is not a good shot. There's probably a. This is the original trailer. It's the new trailer that would actually, that one there, and you'll get to see it right there. Actually, right after this, well, it's actually before this, I believe. You're gonna see the craft, and if you see there's a black, right? There's like a black line.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first ripple.
Did I let
that's
them
actually
on?
not metal.
Yeah, we call that there it is. That's
Blitz.
We call that the insulator ring because below that there's a high voltage.
Somebody named Blitz wants to join.
I don't know who it is. It's on you. Just be ready to kick them.
Welcome, Blitz. Who are you? How you doing? Oh, I'm not saying anything. Say something in the chat, Blitz, before we know it's who you are. Yeah.
It's getting creepy out here.
What was that guy on Ants called?
Oliver. Oliver something tragic videos or some shit.
Oh, it's TJ.
Oh.
Okay. All right. What TJ on? Oh, hold on a minute here.
Please welcome our special guest, everyone.
Are you there, TJ? Can you hear us?
I don't even see him.
He's there, but it's just going in a circle.
Mm. He's downloading like Ant.
Well, I know it's TJ at least, so we can just keep playing.
Voltage present on the craft all the time, and above that there isn't.
I would imagine that.
I let him on.
life
I let him
has,
on
like, two
Rebels, but
completely
it
different
just shows
chapters.
him
There's before this and after
buffering
this.
or
Whereas,
something.
like, once you see it, the whole rest of your life is now going to be very different. And you were in its presence for how long did you work there for?
I don't know, maybe 6 months or so.
So for 6 months, you're around this thing, and I would imagine it has to occupy your thoughts 24 hours a day.
Well, at the time it did, for sure. It's actually 3 stages to the life. It's before it, during, and after it. Before it was just my life. During was when it happened. And then the after part of my life is almost trying to dismiss it, to just go on.
Yeah, you didn't talk about it for a long time. I mean, you did the George Knapp interviews. You talked about it a little. You made some videos explaining things and how things worked.
No, I don't really like public attention. And I don't really like doing interviews, as you probably know. But I know there's people that thrive on that stuff. But,
You there, TJ?
I felt privileged to be part.
You there?
TJ.
But
You're lagging bad or something, man. I don't know. You crashed out before, but you're welcome on. We'll just leave it on till we hear you, I guess.
Part of the project, but it left me with an insatiable appetite oh my God, I want to know
There
where
it
it's
goes.
gone. Look, even when I was there in the 80s, they were talking about moving the project at that time. So I'm dying to know, is it still there? Has it moved on? So did they split it up and move it to other places? Yeah, I remember Barry talking about moving it to the South Pacific, like in Kwajalein or something, but they said the expenses were so great they couldn't do that, but they wanted it away from everybody. And they hated the fact that it was right alongside the highway in Nevada, by south of Area 51. But that's the best place they had at the time and the most affordable. And of course now with, budgets being so tight, who knows where it is?
Who knows if budgets are tight for this, though? I mean,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, they did say, at whatever expense, figure this out.
Yeah, they were serious about that. We don't really care what it was. So like the original Apollo program. Back in the Apollo program, if they needed parts, and if somebody had something ordered UPS or through the mail or whatever, they had the authority to stop that shipment to that other person and take their stuff if they needed it. And, they had an unlimited budget. I mean, if you're working like that, you could do anything. And or
at least anything that's currently possible with today's
I don't think so.
Which
I've
therein
met
lies the
this
problem,
guy.
is that they're dealing with something that's not possible with, like, you couldn't build it from scratch with American technology in 1989.
No, but that's what they wanted to do. And really thinking about
Alman, how
that
you
now, I'm
doing?
not sure. I'm not exactly sure these guys should be allowed to do that. This is really powerful
Oh, hey,
technology.
Alman.
And the world has really changed. I mean, we have a lot of crazy people doing stuff now. And nonsense transmits through the population at the speed of light. And, I don't know. This can be a very powerful world-conquering technology. And look, for 40 years, I think I've said this before, for 40 years, all the people in control of this information have all agreed to keep it quiet. And these aren't idiots. These aren't idiots for 40 years. You have a line of people that all have agreed, no, let's not say anything. No, let's not say anything. No, let's not say anything. There has to be a reason
Taylor,
why.
how you doing?
And if they all agreed to that, maybe I'm the asshole. No, really. Maybe they're right. And
maybe you would have figured that out if you kept working for them.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm increasingly thinking I'm the one that made the mistake. Maybe this is supposed to be just kept quiet.
Yeah, but that doesn't ring true. Because I don't think it's ever healthy if small groups of individuals have information that would change our understanding of where we are.
Yeah, there's that.
I don't think they deserve it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it makes any sense.
I agree.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
really,
but really think about it. What if it's something that's really traumatic?
Doesn't matter.
Like how so? Like, what do you think would be like?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, what if it's? I'm not saying this is what it is, but I mean, what if it's like, like we raise cows out in a field and just feed them grass and they're just going to be food. What if it's something like that? What if we're just like
closing in.
a
I didn't
population
realize
of
it. I think I was
creatures
at
that are just to be
700 or
consumed in some way?
I don't know if we're to be consumed, but I do think we are.
Not physically consumed
Right.
like eaten, but I mean.
I think we have a task. And I'm more and more convinced as time goes on that we were engineered. I don't think we came about as a normal evolutionary process like all the other animals.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I really agree with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that think that. It just doesn't make sense objectively. I mean, without seeming like a kook or someone who buys into conspiracy theories, if you just look at all the other biology on Earth, why is one so uniquely able to manipulate its environment, communicate instantaneously at distance, can't really even exist in its environment in most places that it lives without clothes and shelter? We're a weird animal. We're very strange. Like, we don't seem to have normally adapted to our environment with the way we've completely controlled our environment with air conditioning and electricity and electronics and flight and travel. We're so beyond everything else that evolved. Whereas every other animal, predator or prey, plant eater or meat eater, all seems to
Damn it.
cohesively exist inside of its ecosystem.
TJ was
And then you have
just here,
us,
but he was
which is
lagging
like,
out or
almost like an
something. He couldn't
invasive
talk.
species. Like, invasive species destroy ecosystems, like, because they don't belong there. Well, that's kind of what we do. Like, we suck all the fish out of the ocean, we pollute the rivers with our technology, we mess up underground water systems with fracking and drill. We're like an invasive species in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're really weird.
I can't argue with that at all.
Yeah, this Tim Burchett thing. So Tim Burchett has recently been talking about this, and that he can't talk about it because it's classified, but he said you'd be up at night with the things that I've seen if the things that I've seen have released. Yeah. He said, we just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed, and I will tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or 2 weeks ago, and it would have set the earth on. This country would have become unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard.
Well, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
If, it's not like there's a bunch of space brothers coming down going, oh, look what we discovered, here, have some information. And, what if it's not that? What if all the information is bad?
But what would be bad? Like, have you ever thought about this? Tried to, like, play it out to its natural conclusion? Like, what do you think the scenarios could be that's bad?
I don't know. Everything that look, we view ourselves at the top of the food chain. What if we're not anywhere near there?
I don't think we are.
Okay. What if we're just consumables?
Well, I don't know if like chimpanzees are consumables, right? They're not at the top of the food chain either, right? But
no, but there's I would
curiosity.
consider them substantially lower than we are.
Right.
Like my good friend that died, John Lear, who had a bunch of crazy thoughts. I mean, he used to
John
come over
Lear,
and
the only
tell us
man
that,
with every fucking
on the moon there was a soul
license
sucker.
to fly any
And-
plane. Did you know that, Hargrave?
He did. He said this.
Yep.
You better give me that bottle.
Motherfucking, he was a serious
I'm gonna drink before you
motherfucker.
explain this one. Oh boy, a soul sucker.
Yeah.
John Lear was an eccentric individual. I'm
Yeah,
kind of
but-
sad I never met him.
Diabetes got his ass.
Man, he was
Supporting evidence.
He was
Yeah, the good life.
Terrence McKenna
soul
talking about the
catcher.
moon being a
Moon's
soul
catcher.
catcher.
Yeah. No, and he'd give me pictures of these giant antennas on the moon. And in fact, I'll tell you a story. He, he was an accomplished pilot, had many world records and things of that. Part of the Lear family. That his father invented autopilot, the 8-track tape, all kinds of
The
stuff.
Lear jet,
And,
motherfuckers.
But John Lear was a loose cannon.
He's part of
At the
the,
time,
what is it, the Magnificent Eight, Hargrave?
He'd
Or
fly from Las
13?
Vegas.
Yeah, and the family disowned him.
Shuttle L-1011s,
Yeah.
which were giant planes, back and forth.
He still
And
had
he'd
it
say,
together, even though they fucking
be
kicked
kind
him
of
to the
lonely. He goes,
curb.
hey, you want to go to Minneapolis tonight? He'd call me like at 9 o'clock at night and say, well, no, not really. Oh, come on, fly with me. He said, just put on a suit and, come to so-and-so. And I'd go to McCarran Airport and, go there. And, I'm going to tell everybody you're, an inspector from the FAA. And I'm like, okay, great. And I get on the plane and he said, just act like you're, going to kick everyone's ass. So I go on there and I'd sit they fold down a jump seat behind the plane and I just sit there looking at everybody and God, all this stuff is so illegal. And, get on there and fly. And, John would take, and the L-1011 was a pretty advanced plane at the time. This was in the 80s. And, John would be smoking his pipe. He'd take off. He'd put his feet up and smoke his pipe and he'd fall asleep. And I'd just be, hanging out there. And, before the plane would land, he'd just, wake up and, be smoking his pipe and the, plane would land itself. At the time, my wife was taking flying lessons.
Yeah,
and,
Alfonso.
He said, yeah, bring her up here. And
Leering jet.
I think they had an engineer also on another panel. I don't quite remember, but I was there with my wife. There were people on board, and he'd say, "Hey, come on here and take the wheel." And he'd get the captain of the plane. Would, I think my wife was in her 20s at the time, and just sit her down and say, "Yeah, hold on to it," and just keep correcting. And he'd just let her fly the plane, which is insane. And the co-pilot would just look over, and I remember looking over at, I think, the engineer that looked at the gauges, and he just put his head down and pretended like nothing was happening. And that was just one time. Another time he was ferrying an L-1011 going by Roswell. At the time I was living in New Mexico, and they called him and told him he wasn't getting paid, that the company was defaulted or something like that. And he was coming up to New Mexico and landed at the Roswell, just took the plane and landed at the Roswell airport. The whole 1011, got off, walked up to a bus station, gave me a call on the payphone and said, "Hey, Bob, I'm coming over." Okay, you're in New Mexico? Yeah. And he drove up. Taxi would drop him off at the house. He walked in. He went, "Boy, I'm tired." And he'd just lay down on the couch, and go to sleep. And I said, "What are you doing here? What's going on?" "Oh, I just dropped the plane off. They're not paying me." And that's it. But I mean, John Lear was such like a loose cannon. It was a great friend to have, but he had no bullshit filter. If he had a retired general come up and give him all kinds of information, or if he had a psychic come up from the neighborhood and give him all kinds of information, he'd put him in the same category. And so he really did have useful information that was difficult to get, but it was mixed up with nonsense.
Right.
And sometimes he would just really lean into that nonsense. Like he was convinced that the sun wasn't hot and there were people living inside. And I used to die laughing. I went, "You are insane." I said, you can't prove it's hot." "Yes, I can. Just go outside, on a hot day, and John said, "That's not the sun. That's just the sun's atmosphere that's on fire." And I said, "You're just crazy." But we got along, and he knew that I thought he was crazy. But the thing is, a lot of people did come to him and give him good information. Anyway, I don't remember where I was going with this.
That's the thing about some people. Some people will tell you nonsense, and then they'll tell you true things. And it's difficult to accept that true things also come from people that say nonsense.
Right.
Like, just because they've said something that's nonsense doesn't mean necessarily that this thing they're saying is not true. This other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be able to discern. You've got, like, I talk to a lot of people that say a lot of kooky things that don't make any sense, but then they'll say something that rings true. And it's difficult because you have to have some sort of an understanding of the human psyche and of those kind of people, because there are kind of people that have very loose nets.
You're counting on their filter working like yours.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't.
But some good stuff gets in there, and you go, "Hold on, what did you just say?
Right.
Tell me that again. How does that one work?"
Yeah, you can't really discount people because somebody comes up with some absolute nonsense.
Right.
It just means their filter is defective.
Right.
But
which is also the reason why they're willing to entertain things that are outside of the normal spectrum.
Right.
So, like, they might have actual, real, useful information, but it's wrapped up in there with Bigfoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But so the soul catcher thing.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going.
No,
The soul
he was
catcher.
saying
So,
what Lear was saying.
I remember him
If you
sitting
don't
in, I think
believe
he
that,
was
he
telling
thinks
my
Lear's
wife Joy this
crazy.
story because I walked in on it. And he said, yeah, there are these giant antennas, and when you die, your soul goes up. And I think he said the Greys, you know, this alien race, set up this soul catcher, and that's what this whole thing is about. And as you die, it sucks your soul in, and they use it in some way. And it's not where your soul is supposed to go. They just like set some sort of intercept.
Did he say where your soul was supposed to go?
No.
No.
No, he was just more really into the soul catcher.
Well, that was one of the weirder things about some of the documents that you had at least been alerted to when you were on the base, and one of them being that humans are containers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
which the likely conclusion is containers of souls. If a soul is a real thing, whatever
that's what you would think.
Right. I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's just
I would prefer to believe that that's not true. But maybe it is. I don't know. As Barry said, you know, they mix absolute nonsense in there. So and it's unique to each person. So if you give out any information and they go, we heard some stuff about soul catchers. Oh, we know that came from Lazar. You know, so that's just a way where they can direct where it came to. But
then the problem is like decades and decades, generations and generations of people working there. How many people know what the real truth is, and how many people know?
I don't know. I mean, there must be
a
group of people that really have the pure information of what's going on.
I would assume, but not necessarily. I would think
there has to be a group of people that know what's going on. And
who are those people?
You know, and to me, like I was telling Luigi, I have a bunch of questions for me. You know,
right? Like, what would be your questions for you if you met you?
Yeah, now questions for me are people that ask me over decades the same
Dick
same
Cheney
question.
was part
you
of
know,
it. It was
why is it
majestic.
the Navy? The Navy paid me. I always said
Majestic
everything has
12.
been the Navy instead of the Air Force because, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, you know, there's Project Bluebook and the Air Force and all that, but everything associated with this was the Navy. So, and in these days, you hear some of these new types of crafts that are
transmedium.
Yeah, you hear the word transmedium, and you know, David Fravor, Commander David Fravor, you know, with the Tic Tac, and you know, things are under the water, and you know, supposedly the craft that the sport model was an archaeological recovery, and that itself was underwater. So what is the deal with the water? I mean, it's by far the biggest medium of the planet. I mean, if you want to hide people down there, almost an entire civilization down there, you could do it in the ocean, as long as you do it deep enough and away from people. So, yeah, number one is what's the deal with the ocean? That's probably the number one question.
Because there's a ton of sightings where people see things come out of the water and go into the water.
Yeah, there has to be a reason for that.
Well, just in terms of if they have the ability to travel through space, if whatever that thing is really does create some sort of a gravity bubble or some sort of a space-time bubble.
Yeah, but maybe it's not space. Maybe it's not space. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's another dimension. There's really no limits. If you can start manipulating physics in that way, you can bend time, you can open doorways into other dimensions. So maybe it has nothing to do with look, we all want it to be like Star Trek,
right?
You know, because Star Trek is really understandable.
Right.
You go out there, you fly to another planet, you meet the people there, you go to another one. Well, these guys are happy, those guys aren't, you know, and it all makes perfect sense. I don't really think it's like that. Look, you know, if you look in history, especially, you know, in United States history, anytime a superior race or intelligence meets with an inferior one, it's never good for the inferior guys. Never. We never come over and go, oh, we just want to teach you guys everything that we know.
Right.
No,
We
no.
make
It's
fire.
like, we're going to rape all your women, take all your stuff, and then just kill you.
Use your resources.
Yeah, right. And just consume everything you want. That's just always the way it goes. Now, maybe that's just what humans do, but I would be concerned that's what all life does.
Well, we are territorial primates, and that makes sense that that's what we do. The thing that always fascinates me about particularly the Greys, they seem to be genderless, and they seem to have no muscle at all. They seem to have enormous heads, and the stories, at least, the anecdotal accounts of people having communication with these creatures is that they communicate in some way telepathically.
Yeah,
if you transcend all of our weird biological needs, like all the things that are attached to being a human being, ego, lust, greed, desire to conquer, desire to control resources, all those things are territorial primate instincts. And one of the conversations I had yesterday with my friend Theo, we were talking about like what's happening to people's bodies is that people are slowly, we're consuming microplastics and phthalates and all these things that are reducing our reproductive system, our testosterone's dropping.
Right.
All this stuff like leads you to say, well, where does this go ultimately? Like, how many more people are autistic now than were before? It's 1 out of 12 boys in California now. It used to be 1 out of 10,000 just a few decades ago. Like, we're moving in this very weird direction without us recognizing
Wait, let me stop you there. It's 1 out of how many?
1 out of 12 boys in California are diagnosed autistic now.
But do you think that might be the way they're diagnosed?
No. No, I think it's exposure. I think it's exposure to chemicals, vaccines, environmental toxins.
You think that too?
I think that. It's not just me. There's tons of studies, and a lot of buried studies too.
Okay, I mean, if that's accurate, that's frightening. Yeah.
Well, it is. It can't be just diagnosed because I mean I know so many people that have nonverbal autistic kids, where I didn't know anybody that had nonverbal autistic kids when I was younger.
Well, I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, there were no kids with ADHD. Kids that were like that were just assholes.
I think that's still the case. I don't think ADHD is a real diagnosis. I think it's a real excuse to give people medication. I think ADHD is essentially a superpower. What ADHD is allows you to concentrate on things that you really enjoy.
He's
But
right.
you cannot concentrate on things you don't enjoy.
Okay.
I think I have it.
You
I
should
think I'm
smack
very
the
fortunate
fuck
that
out
I'm
of him
not
and they'd
diagnosed
stop.
and medicated, or wasn't. I was born in the right time when they weren't doing that as much.
No, I'll stop you there and say I agree that that's a superpower too.
Because it's very unusual. I can, if I find a thing that I like, I can lock in and concentrate on it for 12, 14 hours with no sleep, no food. All I need is like water or coffee, and, and I'm locked in.
I locked in for 4.5 years.
Yeah, I know.
I think with ADHD is you're taking kids, you're putting them in a completely unnatural environment. You're making them sit down. They don't want to sit down. They're very active and energetic. You're making them study things by very unenthusiastic teachers. They don't want to pay attention. They're fucking off in class because they're completely bored. And then you're saying that kid's got a problem. We have to diagnose them. And then what do you give them? You give them Adderall. And all of a sudden the kid's locked in because they're on fucking speed.
Yeah.
And I just think.
Yeah, but if you focus in and let them do what they're interested
Give that
in.
kid a video game. Watch him play it for fucking 10 hours with no food. Because that's what happens. Because that's something that they're actually engaged with. It's not that they can't be focused on anything. They just don't focus on things they enjoy. And we want to turn people into nice little factory workers. And the only way to do that is you got to get a kid to comply. You got to get a kid to pay attention,
no,
follow the rules.
We're on the same channel.
Yeah. I don't believe that ADHD is a real thing. I just think there's some people that are wired differently and they should pursue different things in life.
Right.
The difference between that and autism is very different. And autism is, especially when it happens like almost directly after multiple vaccinations. There's a lot of them they point to, particularly the MMR vaccine. There's quite a few. When you look at the schedule of vaccines and how it ramped up, and it completely correlates with the ramping up of the diagnoses of autism. But without casting aspersions or getting into some anti-vaccine conversation.
Wait, you just did.
I know, I did. But what I'm saying is, but ultimately the human race is moving into a very weird place. So I had a conversation with Shanna Swan, Dr. Shanna Swan, who is, she studies environmental endocrine disruptors. So various toxins, phthalates, microplastics, and plasticizers that are completely disruptive to people's endocrine system, reproductive system. And from the introduction of these petrochemical products in the 1950s and 60s, you see a direct correlation between the dip in testosterone rates amongst men, the increase of miscarriages and infertility, and then on top of that, the actual shrinking of their taint. So one of the ways they find out the difference between mammals,
Their
some
taint
mammals
is shrinking?
when
Oh,
you
no!
see a baby mammal,
Nothing
the
remained
difference
but her
between a
taint.
male and a female is easily recognized by the size of the gap between their anal hole and where their genitals are.
But that
And
could just be correlation. It's like.
No,
like-
I'll explain why it's not. Because when they've done studies where they've used phthalates, particularly phthalates, and they've introduced them specifically, purposely into certain mammals and rodents, their taint shrinks. And their taint shrinks and their penis size shrinks. And there's studies on alligators, where alligators, when they live in polluted rivers, they have smaller penises.
Me and
she
you,
talked
Graham,
about
that's
this. And all this,
what-
these
I
are
know
endocrine
that
disruptors
bullshit.
that are in the environment that are doing something that reduces fertility. And it changes the way the human biology functions. And it makes men more feminine, and it makes women less fertile. Well, ultimately, when you look at the Greys, what do they look like?
Yeah.
They look like they have no genitals. They look like they have no sex. They have that might be where biology has to go to transcend away from our territorial primate biology. Our territorial primate biology that is insistent on war and violence and
and we think this is the place to stay.
Exactly.
And it may not be.
It may not be.
Yeah.
It may be completely non-beneficial to all life.
Right.
That we have to transcend that. And we are transcending it whether we like it or not. And what I was saying is that I don't know if it's a bug. I think it might be a feature of evolution. That our insistence on using plastics and technology and all of these different environmental toxins that we use to produce energy and all the goods and services that we need also are disrupting our endocrine system and changing us from being these hulking, hair-covered cavemen to being these very small, slight, autistic men that can fucking code 24 hours a day without sleep.
Right.
It seems like if you extrapolate and you naturally take that further, well, what do you get? You get really skinny things with no muscles and giant heads.
My take also, and I do agree with that, is what I find sometimes really concerning is how fast that's moving. So it's not just a question of like, is this actually? This is probably a thing, but it's moving
Holy
so
shit,
incredibly fast. If I look at my
Alphonse.
father's generation or my grandfather's generation and my generation, I mean, it's similar, but now it's moving so fast. I
But
do
my
agree with what you're
taint's
saying, and I'm
smaller.
thinking if it's moving so fast, there could be a natural component to it, but there's an intentional component to it.
If you wanted to do something to a race to change it, like think about what we did with wolves. right? All dogs are wolves.
Yeah, right.
I have 2 dogs that are the furthest fucking thing from wolves you could possibly imagine.
Is that Marshmallow?
Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Marshall.
He might be a marshmallow. He might as well.
Okay,
So I have Marshall, who's a golden retriever, who's the sweetest dog of all time. And I have another dog named Charlie, who's a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, who is even further from a wolf than Marshall. He's just a cute little fuzzy little sweetheart. They have no killer instincts whatsoever. That used to be a wolf, right? But what happened? We softened them to the point where there was something compatible with our modern life, with households and families and babies. We made them safe. And that's happening to people. It's happening to people whether we like it or not. We could attribute it to all these different factors. Oh, it's a problem. We have to remove these things from the environment. This is what's going on. Maybe. Or maybe you just look at the overall picture. There seems to be an insatiable desire for innovation and technology that human beings have. If you looked at us from afar, if you weren't part of the human race and you're just studying us, you're like, what does this species do? Well, it makes better things. Makes better things all the time. Constantly. You know, I have an iPhone 16 here. It's not as good as the iPhone 17. iPhone 17 is better. Why don't you get an iPhone 17?
Right,
it just like keeps going. It never stops. It never ends. The TVs get bigger. They get stronger. Your cars get faster. Your computer, it's more cores, it's processing, video editing, so much quicker. Everything moves faster and better. We keep making better things. We never stop and say, you know what? Society right now, we have a lot of problems. The problems that we don't have are technology. Our technology seems completely suitable to this world that we're living in right now. Let's just stop making new things and concentrate on cleaning the rivers and concentrate on stopping crime and concentrate on educating people, concentrate on counseling for troubled young people. No, we just plow forward ahead with the one thing that we absolutely guaranteed do. We make better things. We make better weapons, better cars, faster planes. Everything we do, we make things better.
Sorry, I have to add, we do that, and we also do it in a way where it's economically beneficial to the ones that are making it, because we make things break now. Think about it. We make better things, but we make them so that you have to buy the better thing after.
Right. Engineered obsolescence.
Yeah, that's also important.
Yeah, it is, because then also human beings have this very bizarre desire for materialism. Like, why would a thing with a finite lifespan want to accumulate objects? Like, I know people that are in their 80s that collect things. Like, what are you fucking doing with that stuff? You're going to die. You have maybe like 10 summers left on Earth. And here you are collecting stamps or cars.
10 summers, no. I've gotten to do that.
Pussy!
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to bypass the accumulating stuff part of life.
But materialism ensures a constant fueling of innovation. Because this is one of the things that gets people excited about collecting new stuff, is that you're going to make a better version. Like, I don't care how good your Mercedes is. It's not a 2026 Mercedes.
Right.
It's even better. It has new features. It's a new thing. And so it's like all built into the human psychology, and also to this thing that I said, like I said, if you were from somewhere else and studying this species, what does it do? It makes better things. What do sharks do? They eat things. They just swim around. They can't even stop swimming. They eat things. What do people do? They really just make better things. They go to war. Why do they go to the war, really? They go to war so they can control resources, so they have more money, so they can make more things and better things. And also the amount of innovation that is in warfare, in war weapons, in war fighting.
Yeah, that's actually critical.
Yes.
To keep the system going. Yeah.
Well, ultimately, all that does, all of it releases more endocrine disruptors, more contact with all these different chemicals and toxins, feminizes men.
That's why he's so
women's
short,
reproductive
Hargrave.
systems, to the point where ultimately we say, oh, for the survival of the race, we're going to have to figure out how to reproduce non-biologically.
When I first got involved in,
it's something to ponder, right? It's something to ponder because we're so wrapped up in who we are. We're so wrapped up in, look, I love being a person. I love living in Texas. I love driving an American car. I love all those things. But what does that mean? Like, what is that? What is that? You know, these are just weird identity points that you connect with whatever this species is. But if you could have a above view, and you look down and you go, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, like how far are we going and how fast are we going there?
We're going pretty fucking fast. And now with AI, I think we're going way faster than we even understand. Because with Claude, I mean, they think that the Claude AI, that the engineers say, we think it's sentient already. It just doesn't have a physical body to move around.
Look, AI is going to kill us. Everybody agrees with that. There's no question.
I don't think it's going to kill us. You know what I think it's going to do? I think it's going to prevent us from breeding. I think it's going to let us die off.
That's going to kill us,
But
Joe.
I think we're going to willingly go with it because we're going to get like mates, like ex machina. We're going to just something that takes
as soon
care
as
of
they
you.
come out with a female robot that's sexually attractive
It's
or
over.
whatever.
Yeah. Game over.
The game over.
Game over.
There's just going to be no more babies, and we're just going to die out.
Yeah.
So
or integrate. And I think it's much more likely that we integrate. And that's where you get the grays. I think that what the grays are is a combination of technology and biology. And if you just go
It
from
could very well be.
chimp to caveman to gray, you go, oh, I see where that's going. chimp, caveman, human, modern human, gelatinous, soft, slow-moving, weak modern human, grays.
Like I've always leaned into what Barry told me, because it's the only information I had, that the craft came from Zeta Reticuli, which is a star system 30 some odd light years away. And, again, it was just like a Star Trek thing. They came over here for whatever reason. But that information may not be true.
Right, that information might be one of those things they put in. That's nonsense.
Again, if it has to do with time, I think from what George has told me, Jacques Vallée and some other really credible researchers have said that these are people either from another dimension or another time, or maybe they're us from the future.
Right.
Just coming back to interact with us in some way.
Make sure we don't fuck everything up irreparably.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like they're doing a good job.
Well, maybe fucking things up somewhat is also part of the plan. Maybe that actually has to take place.
I mean, holy cow!
Disrupt.
Look at the way things are going right now.
Right.
Holy cow!
Exactly.
Yeah. Things are off, totally off the rails.
But maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe part of it is like it has to get so far sideways that we realize how fucked up everything is that we start making meaningful changes and implement AI as government.
That's a dangerous thing.
Exactly. But is it as dangerous as Iran getting nukes? I don't know. Is it as dangerous as a global
Iran's
Islamic
not,
caliphate? No, it's not Iran.
Iran's not getting nukes. I mean,
okay, but
they never mind. I don't want to get into political stuff.
No, you could. You could. Like, if you gave Iran the technology to get nukes.
Everyone has, any physicist has the technology to get nukes.
Right.
I mean, the difficulty is actually making the material. So, I mean, if I was Iran, I would enrich to 80 or 90% because that's where you can make a weapon and stop there.
Right. It's not like they would be the only people with a weapon. Pakistan, India, North Korea.
But that doesn't make you have a weapon. It just gives you a shortcut to it. And making a weapon from there and being able to deliver a weapon, to 4,000 miles away, good luck with that. That's a big deal. So
right, but they're in communication with China. Who has that? They're in communication.
Well, then they don't need to. They don't need to enrich uranium or do anything. They just can you give me a missile? And
right, but wouldn't they rather make their own? But that's not even the point.
Rather make their own. Why would you do that? Would you rather make your own car or just somebody give it to you? Why would you do that? You got a buddy that'll just give it.
Because you'd want to be self-sufficient. You'd want to have your own. You don't have to rely on someone.
No, you can always do that. You can always do that. I don't think they're ever gonna absolutely make a weapon now.
Right.
Because we're, kicking their ass. As everyone has learned, I guess you have to have nuclear weapons now to, but this is a really bad situation.
Oh, it's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
But my point is, why is this situation taking place? The situation taking place is because human beings suck, right? We suck in how we interact with each other. We suck because we're territorial primates with weapons of mass destruction.
Can't we just all get along?
Right. Well, what is the way to stop that from ever happening? Well, one, you let a catastrophe unfold, and then you offer a solution to make sure these catastrophes never unfold again. Well, what's the best solution? Well, we have something far smarter than people that will take over control of resources in government.
AI.
Right.
Yeah. This is Colossus. You ever seen the movie Colossus?
No. Gotta watch it.
Well, that's a demerit against you.
Okay.
Yeah. The movie Colossus was a 1960s or 70s movie, and it's about, the scientist makes deep inside this mountain a computer to take over the defense of the United States. And, they build this gigantic computer inside Cheyenne Mountain or something similar to it. And, they flip the switch and they went, okay, we're protected. We're in good shape. And shortly after time goes on, they realize, wow, the computer's really performing better than we expected. And as it turns out, Russia had done the same thing, and the computers want to communicate together. And, they start communicating, and then the United States goes, well, they might be giving our secrets away, so we better, cut the communication line. And the computers freak out, and they go, well, I guess we'll just launch nuclear bombs, at everybody. And it launches weapons and, it essentially holds everybody hostage. But
kind of like a trap. It's kind of like a trap.
Yeah,
if we go that way, it could trap us.
It's exactly a trap.
Well, in simulated war games, AIs use nuclear weapons.
They 98% of the time. Yeah. I mean, because why wouldn't they? Because, I mean, look, the goal is to win.
Right.
And we're going to present you with the scenario, and they go, okay, nuke them. And why wouldn't you pick that? You're going to start with slapping them in the face?
Well, why is it better to just bomb them over and over and over again until you achieve the same amount of
That's the slap in the
deaths?
face. Nuke them, it's over with, we can move on from there.
Right.
So,
Well, you think about what happened in Gaza. Like, you look at the leveling of all those buildings, the mass destruction.
It's terrible.
It looks like a nuke.
Yeah.
It looks like one nuke instead of thousands of missiles and bombs. It's one nuke.
But it's not.
Right. In terms of the amount of damage you can do instantaneously.
Because we can detect a nuke.
Was there ever any conversation that you were privy to where they discussed, because one of the things that does come up over and over again in UFO discussions is these crafts that show up at these military bases and shut down all the weapon systems?
No, I actually know nothing about that. Most of the UFO stuff or UFO lore that I've heard, I don't know anything about. I've just looked at it.
That's so fascinating because you're the most prominent figure in all of UFO
That's what I was
lore.
telling him yesterday.
Yeah, but I really only like to talk about what I know about.
Right, of course.
And I've heard other stories, but I've never heard them officially. I don't know if they're really real.
What's one of the things that makes you most credible? Because you're not a UFO.
I guess, but
no,
I mean,
yes, it does with me. Because when people are like way too into it, they want to believe too much.
Yeah. But no, I don't know.
Like, do you know who these people are?
Yeah, Betty and Barney Hill.
Okay, well, so you know.
Yeah, they were the first abductees.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, they're. I don't know who first introduced those to me, and I looked them up, and
man, this is bullshit.
People say, "Do you believe them?" And I'm kind of inclined to believe them because, look, in the 1960s, right, where they're from, the last thing you want to do is be recognized as a mixed race couple. right? I mean,
right, and go public with the story.
Yeah, I mean, holy cow,
that was a
they
big
would
thing.
hate you.
Yeah.
A black person and a white person that were, you know, in any kind of relationship. But
And
yeah,
have
they
this
did that.
crazy story.
Yeah.
And you hear that.
And actually, on top of that, I have a connection to that because Barry said they're from the Zeta Reticuli star system, and I believe it's Betty Hill drew a map of the Zeta Reticuli star system and said this is part of their roots.
Whoa.
But
did you know that?
You didn't know that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
know.
if you
I mean,
look
I
that
remember
up,
it from what you said from.
okay,
your
but
story.
if you look up in Betty and Barney Hill, she said, I think, I don't know,
I know
I
the
can never
story.
get this stuff right. They show her a map and they say, well, this is a map. She wanted.
Yeah, she drew. I seen that show. She draws a map, and this is before we had any astronomical, anything. And she drew it from her memory, and then I can't remember if it was the Voyager or what. Somehow years later, they found this solar system, and it matched up perfectly to her drawing, like what he's saying.
To know why they were here, what's going on. They showed her a map. Am I right?
They showed her a map.
And they said, do you understand this? And she said, no. And they said, well, why should we tell you anymore? And well, I don't know, maybe you could
something
fill it
like
in.
that. But they showed her this star map, and she obviously.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Under hypnosis, Betty Hill describes a map she was shown by the leader aboard the ship. Later, she sketched it. She said she was told that the heavy lines marked regular trade routes.
That's right. Yeah.
And the broken lines recorded various space expeditions. The following year, the map seen at right was published in the New York Times. Mrs. Hill, struck by the similarity between the Times map and her sketch, then added the corresponding names. Yeah.
And it ended up being the Zeta Reticuli binary star system, which was really interesting. And I remember when I first heard about Bob's story back in 1989, and he said Zeta Reticuli, I remember thinking, wow, that's what Betty Hill saw. So that made me also question, is that real in that document? Did these guys really come from there? Because it was mentioned in 1968.
Right.
So why would the government, the U.S. Navy, write that in there that would correlate to something that we already kind of knew? I think that...
Yeah, how do you explain that? How, that lady had a fucking map before they were even out there or anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense unless that actually fucking happened, because how else would you have the map? She can't go into space or nothing and go out there.
It was a purposeful disinformation to disinform someone. I think so.
Well, why? If maybe it's true. Yeah, go ahead. We'll pause right here and use the restroom. We'll be right back, folks.
I really
sorry.
No worries. We'll be right back. We were talking about this whole Zeta Reticuli thing. So when you're dealing with so many different crafts and so many different things, the idea that only one species or one thing more advanced than us is visiting us seems kind of silly. If the universe is populated by all these things.
I don't know. Does it? Does it?
Kind of.
I mean, the universe is really big. Do you think everybody can find this place? I mean,
yeah. I would imagine it's like spots that you visit, like, there's Machu Picchu, there's ancient Egypt, there's, sub-Saharan Africa. There's a bunch of different places where people go, just humans on Earth. And I would imagine if you have an understanding of how life is evolving in the cosmos, there's probably stages where things reach certain levels. And if you are
But they're far apart.
Right?
They're far apart. I mean, one could be in this quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy, and they reach that point where they can travel and explore. And there's a far distant point where another civilization can do that. And I mean, really, do you think there are that many? I don't think there are that many civilizations visiting us. There's no doubt that there's one from somewhere, another planet, another time, another dimension, whatever it may be. Someone else is here. We're not the top, of the pyramid.
It all goes back to Obama, Fonz.
Well, I think if you got technology that, say, let's just say the Greys. Let's say the Greys are real. Let's say they fly around these little crafts. Why would we assume that it stops there? Why wouldn't we assume that technology gets to the point where not only are they far more advanced than them, but they also are completely undetectable?
Well, if you want to view the universe as infinite, then it never stops.
It scales
There's
out.
somebody above them, and there's somebody above them, and there's somebody above them, and it never stops.
I was watching this lecture where this woman was talking about quantum entanglement, and she was talking about how maybe our understanding of space and the distance between things is limited by what our current technology is and our current understanding of what space and time actually are. And what she was saying is there might not be, we might at one point in time, given enough time, thousands of years, whatever, be able to instantaneously travel anywhere. And that just how quantum, like subatomic particles are connected in some sort of a strange way that we don't totally understand, even at far distance, spooky action at a distance, right?
As Einstein said, yeah.
That we might eventually get to a point where that's how travel works. That's instantaneous travel everywhere.
I think we just have hints of these technologies.
Yeah.
Look, everything, we look at Maxwell's equations and things like that we base all electromagnetic, electrostatic, actions on, and how they relate to time and how they relate to things in our universe. But that may be nothing. There may be an entire level of physics that we're unfamiliar with that, these crafts, these people, or these civilizations just utilize. So
Of course. I mean, if you just stop and
I
think
don't know.
about going from Morse code to a cell phone in a relatively short period of time historically. If you go to the difference between 1200 and 1400 is not that big of a fucking deal in terms of technology, what's available. The difference between 1800 and 2026 is fucking massive.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It is a massive, crazy change, right? So 2026 to 2226, who fucking knows what we're talking about?
Right.
Especially when you have sentient AI, you have nuclear power plants that are controlling sentient AI, that are fueling them and giving them resources. I mean, you really have no limit to where this goes. You scale out 1,000 years. You scale out 2,000 years.
You really can't scale out 1,000 years.
Right. It's
because
not possible.
Even at 100 years, it's way way more than we would have ever considered.
Also, it's exponential, right?
Right. That's why you
Yeah.
can't scale out to 1,000 years.
And if you think it's exponential now, imagine when you have AI able to generate better versions of itself, which is what's happening with ChatGPT 5. It's essentially made by ChatGPT 4.
Now, AI is absolutely the death of us. There's no question.
But we're
There's
certainly
no
going to
question.
become obsolete in terms of our thinking. But
If we're obsolete in terms of our thinking, we're obsolete.
Yeah.
I mean, all AI needs is hands, right?
I think we integrate. That's what I think happens.
Yeah. It's a scary
and that's I was going to say, and that's a scary thought. That's a scary thought because it's like we're going to integrate. I think it's inevitable. I think you're right about that. We're just going there.
Yeah.
It's not like even if you and I are not going to actually do it, somebody will, and it's going to integrate because other people will, and it's going to happen. But it's still the same primate. We're still the same human.
Sort of, but we already have problems with joints, and so we replace them with fake ones. We take titanium knees, and
Yeah, but they don't work as good.
they don't for now.
Yeah.
But before they used to not work at all. Like
that's
I've
true.
met people that had surgeries in the 1980s, like knee surgeries, and oh my god. They're crippled for life. Even though they put your knee back together again, it's still destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
You get a knee surgery today, 6 months later, you're 100%.
No, I'd love to know the future.
Yeah, well, it's going to
I'd
get...
love to know the future.
Well, that is... So, one of the things I want to talk about is the actual... The generator, this thing that works on this element that bombards it with radiation. How did you guys figure out what the function of it was and what it did? So when you're first introduced to this craft and you see this dome,
The reactor,
that's covering this thing that's generating this power, what was the introduction to it? How did they explain it?
The introduction was way before me, and that's where the guy prior to me either got hurt or killed. So they determined that this was the power source, and at that point they take that out to the nuclear test site because they wanted to. They X-rayed it. They only found a small tube that went around it. They really couldn't determine how it worked or what was going on. So at some point, and Barry made this somewhat clear that they cut into the reactor while it was running, or while it was under load, I should say. And the reactor.
What were
exploded.
they on that day?
That's what hurt the person that I replaced. But it produced
Holy shit.
the base gravitational wave or base energy that propelled the craft. That provided the craft the propulsion. I mean, when they removed it, the craft didn't work. When they put it in, every single other craft they found had something either exactly like it or similar to it. So they determined that was the power source. That's at the point that I was introduced into the project.
So when you say gravitational wave, is that for lack of a better term, or is it something that's measured? Is it...
No, it's for lack of a better term. Like there's nothing. I mean, as I said in Luigi's movie, you can take magnets with like poles and push them together and they repel, but you can't take your hands ever and push on something and they repel them. That's a force field, right? That's science fiction stuff. But that's what this did. And this produced a field that repelled the craft from the ground.
Did you try to touch it?
Yeah.
And when you try to touch
pushed on
it, what did you feel?
An elastic field. You can push down, but you can't get close to it. The closer you get to it, the more it pushes back. So you can.
Like how much distance between you and the actual thing were you able to achieve?
I would say about
6 inches or so.
Maybe about 9 inches, which is about a span. And no, it's at some point you can't push back on it at all. But the important thing is, if you have a magnet, a little disc magnet sitting on the ground, and you have another magnet, and you push on it, that magnet moves away, right?
Yeah.
Because it's pushing on it. But the craft didn't. The reactor didn't. If you had the reactor there and you pushed back on it, it didn't push away when you pushed on it.
It just prevented you from touching it.
Yeah, and so when Dennis said, go out there and look under the craft, here's the craft, whatever it weighs, suspending itself above the ground, and I went underneath it. You would think it's translating its weight onto the ground and pushing, and I should be
squashed
without any doubt, but I'm not. There's no feeling there at all. So it's not translating its weight or its push to the ground and pushing off the ground. It's just canceling out its weight, which is something completely different.
And so element 115,
Yeah.
So you have it in this triangle-shaped form. Did you ask how they got into a triangle-shaped form? Was it made
Well,
like this? This is how it
I'm,
came
I'm
in the
sure I
reactor?
did. But I mean, it only worked like that. It worked like a stack of discs and had to be cut at a certain angle to work in the reactor. And
did they say they cut it, or did they say it was already cut?
Well, it was already cut, and they were duplicating it.
Pull that microphone up, too. Sure. So they were duplicating it. Did they have more of it, this element?
Yeah, they had quite a bit of it. So either there was a quantity in other crafts or other reactors that they removed. Yeah.
But was there any discussion that there had been some sort of an exchange where they had been giving this?
No.
So one of the things, like, do you know Diana Pasulka is? She's an author that's written some interesting stuff about UFOs, and she's worked with Gary Nolan and, on material recollection from supposed crash sites. And she said that the way these researchers refer to these crafts, they refer to them as donations. And
I guess that's possible.
Right. Well, it doesn't make sense if this thing crashed, why is it perfect? Why is it not destroyed?
Look, I've heard so many. I'm not into UFOs.
Right.
As
Which
crazy
is
as that.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's,
Well, you know
that's
that
crazy.
story about Eisenhower,
I'm just
don't
interested
you?
in technology, and I feel very privileged to
We
have
were
been
traded
involved in
for
the
them,
project. But
for their fucking advanced technology.
I don't think
They're allowed
I don't
to
think
harvest
there can be
us.
that many crashes. Do you?
No.
This advanced technology, you think they're coming to Earth and just there's a thunderstorm and they're crashing into the ground? I'm not buying that.
There's one logical explanation that does actually make sense. There were some high altitude nuclear tests that they did. And
Well, there was the Teak test, back in the 60s.
Starfish Prime.
And Starfish Prime, right.
Yeah. If you
That's
had
where
no
they
idea
tried
this
to
was
blow
about
up the
happen, and you were
Vander
hovering over
Elm
Earth observing us.
What are the chances? I mean, what are the chances?
They're not very high.
Yeah,
right?
they're not. I mean, what are the chances of crash is coming over and a nuclear test at that exact second?
Unless there's a lot more observation than we know, and that they just observe us in a way that we can't see them. Especially if you're going back to the 1950s and 1960s, we have very few satellites.
That was the nuclear cowboy era.
Yeah.
Where they were just
just Starfish Prime. Explain to people what they did.
Yeah, they had a 1.4 megaton, detonation up there, and I think all they did. Let's see what happens if we blow it up at this altitude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. There was another test planned to blow up on the moon, just to make the Russians look, like we were awesome. But they
detonate the moon. What if they pushed it away and it fucked up our orbit?
Yeah, I think that would take a lot more.
I
mean, there was. I don't remember what the project.
Project A19.
Oh, A19, that was it. Yeah,
Study of lunar research flights.
Detonated nuclear bomb. Yeah, I can't pull up these numbers, but yeah, Project A1118.
Crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna do that
Oh,
because
that's
that everybody on Earth could just go outside and look at the moon get blown up.
And the explosion would be faintly visible to the human eye to people on Earth.
Yeah. I still think they should have done that. But
you gotta put a jet engine in the back of a Honda. Let's see.
I honestly think they should detonate a nuclear bomb on the 4th of July every year. But that's just me.
Well, also, you live in Nevada. That's where I used to.
No.
It had a long history of them doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So going back to this reactor. So how was it explained to you? Did they explain to you how the technology works or what they know about it?
Now, the way it was explained to me is when I got to be alone with Barry, he said he was excited to show this to me. He said, "I'm going to turn. This is the reactor that we assume powers the craft." Sorry.
No worries.
I'm going to show you the reactor that powers the craft, and he turned it on. Small little dome on a flat little plate. I said,
"Was this in the craft or was this on a table?"
No, this is in the experimental area.
Okay.
And
so this was not the one that was in the sport craft. This was another one.
This was another one.
This is it right here.
Yeah, that's it.
That's in the film.
And on the table, and he had it there, and he went over to the emitter and rotated it, and he said, "Try and touch it." And I put my hand on it, and it rebounded off. And the closer you got to it, the more it pushed back. And that's a real shock because there's nothing that pushes back like that. That's a living force field. That's science fiction stuff. So that really got my attention.
So explain what is happening, like in terms of the rotation of this thing. Like what is happening? Like what energy is going into it that's causing it to go on?
Well, actually, we don't know that. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's pushing back. It's a repulsive gravitational field. Like as far as we know, gravity only has an attractive force to it. We've never, even with antimatter, we've analyzed it, and it still has an attractive force to it. There's no repulsive force that we've discovered because that would be a great propulsion system. But this repulsed. So this was a new field completely.
But how is he turning it on?
He had the emitter, which is a big pipe.
What is an emitter? Like what is?
The craft itself has, on the main level, has the reactor and what we call the amplifiers. The reactor and 3 amplifiers. Right underneath that, there are 3 emitters that are right under the amplifiers. And we believe the energy from the reactor is amplified by the emitters and
by the amplifiers,
sorry, and transmitted to the emitters. And they produce this field that lifts the craft off the ground. And that's how it works. But there is nothing even in our physics or our science that that correlates to that at all.
And what is the energy that's going to them that causes it to turn
We
on?
don't know. I mean, we just assume it's gravity because it's the only thing we know like that. But it has a negative gravity effect. So it might be a new force entirely.
But when you were saying, so you have this machine that's next to it that you do something to that causes it to turn on.
The emitter.
Right.
There's the amplifier,
Right.
and there's the emitter, which looks like a big pipe.
Right.
And if you rotate the emitter, I don't remember how many degrees, was it 20
degrees.
20 degrees or something like that? That connects it in some way to the reactor, and it begins to be powered.
And what is the emitter doing?
It emits that field. It's not a it could be a gravitational field, but it's an anti-gravitational field that pushes on the ground.
And what's happening in the emitter? Did you study the emitter?
Well, we attempted to, but no. There was nothing that we really came up with that.
What does it look like? Like, what's the internal structure of it?
It's a hollow pipe with, I guess, little copper-colored plates all inside. It's kind of in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, these guys have been working on it for years before I got there, and there was really no concept of what they were doing.
Did they explain to you why element 115 is crucial to this working and what its role is?
No.
So element 115
imagine working
was
in a place where
not
nobody
even really
knows anything
discussed
and
back
they're
when you were doing
trying
this.
to
As
figure it
well.
all
It wasn't even discovered.
Sounds like the military to me, Mossy.
That's what I'm gathering. Nobody knows anything. If they were the smartest ones,
We're all
here to
winging
just
it.
Try and figure nothing out.
And you can't
We
talk
don't even know how it turns on. We don't even know how to power it.
You're not allowed to ask any questions, so you're just
Yeah.
winging it.
Yeah, you need to be the sole person to figure out the entire ship in its entirety how it works. Nobody else
That'd
can
be
help
like
you.
fucking
If you
primates
can grasp
finding
it, then you're
our-
hired.
Can you imagine, like, our primates? They find one of our basic home computers, gaming computer, and they have a thing set up like that, and they each give them one piece, but they can't talk to each other to figure out anything about each one. So one
That's
room's
religion,
got a RAM,
Mossy.
one room's got a
That's religion.
graphics card, the processor, the motherboard. You know what I'm saying? A
Yeah.
fan, the case itself.
Yeah, and they're
how
all
they
saying
would-
my piece is the whole piece and nothing but the piece.
and they have no idea how to.
And they have
put it all
wars
back
over it.
together, and they realize that this whole thing goes together. It's the same fucking thing.
It's fucking religion, dude.
It's so stupid. Why wouldn't you let them work together as a team?
Because
You got 22
humans
of the
aren't
greatest
capable of
minds
it.
in that room. Let them fucking figure it out together. But
They don't-
no,
we don't
gotta
want to.
compartmentalize it.
Yeah,
You know what?
because
If we realize the truth, we're fucked. I think that's what it really is, Hargrave.
the problem is that, okay, so for instance, at Lockheed, you would have a fabrication, you would have an electrical department, an engine department, and metalworks, and so on. So it would be like saying, okay, you make this entire plane, but you can't talk to fabrication, you can't talk to electric, you can't talk to anybody. Now make the plane. You'd be like, I can't, this is fucked. How am I supposed to do this? Yeah, you have to work with people to do it. And then he's like a specialist in his field. So like he's talking about, he opened up this pipe and he just saw like, an empty pipe with some copper dishes in there, he said.
Yeah.
Well, to him, so to him, in his field, he's not going to, have anything to relate that to. But if you go and get like an electrician or somebody in a different field, they might see that and think of something similar to relate to it, what it could be. But you can't have that person. It's just so stupid.
It really
I don't
is.
know why they're never going to get anywhere the way they're doing that.
Or proven physically.
They probably don't
until
want to.
It was a large hadron
Yeah, it
collider
makes you wonder if they
experiment
want
in the
anything to be
2000s, right?
solved.
No, I know they synthesize that, but look, and in any element, there's always a large amount of.
Well, it doesn't decay. There's like
Yeah.
the
That was the thing about
isotopes.
in the Large
There was
Hadron
a
Collider
large amount of
experiment. They
confusion.
were able to achieve it, but it only existed for a few milliseconds.
Yeah, sorry, I've had too much.
No worries. So, did they? How did they define this material?
No, there's different isotopes of every element, and element 115, just like any other element, there can be a stable version of it and 100 or 50 different unstable elements to them. So I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Just try to continue the train of thought. So
it's basically different isotopes of it.
Yeah, different isotopes.
Yeah.
I need to stop drinking this.
It's okay. Have a cup of coffee.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, so coffee's good.
Oh, we got coffee. Oh my god. All right. Holy cow.
There you go. That'll help.
Yeah, there's different isotopes.
And you were able to physically touch this element?
Absolutely. I was physically able to touch the element.
Yeah. But when you're physically able to touch it, there's no adverse effects. It doesn't have any effect on health. Does it feel like metal? Does it feel like plastic?
No, it looks copper-like. I mean, maybe it's not as dark as copper is, but it's that color. And I haven't seen an element like that. It has unique properties that other elements don't have. It produces an anti-gravitational field. Now,
when combined with energy, with some kind of energy, it produces this field.
Yeah.
And was it understood what is happening? Like, what is the relationship between this element and this? Like, what is going on? Like, you're bombarding this element with something?
Yeah, from what we understood, we X-rayed the reactor itself, and there was a path around it that looked. It made it look like a cyclotron. So it looked like there was an accelerator.
So when they were explaining it to you, is this just your work partner that's explaining this stuff to you?
Yes, it's just Barry that's explaining.
And did you ask him, how do you know this? Where are you getting this from? Is this...
Yeah, he got this information prior to me. And they X-rayed it, found a structure in there to where they believed it was an accelerator, and it was interacting. The point of the 115 is in a little triangular piece, and it was interacting with that in some fashion. So...
And did he say whether or not the United States government or whoever was doing this research had tried to recreate one of those on their own?
That was our job, to try to recreate one of those on their own.
But what was the metal that it was made out of?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Again, the metallurgy
How
was
do you
not...
make something you don't know what it's made of?
It seems insane that you couldn't communicate to them that whatever this stuff is made out of, this whole thing acts as one cohesive unit. It's not like you could make the same exact thing with aluminum or carbon fiber.
No, you can't. This thing acted differently. This thing acted differently than any
I'd be
material that we knew.
I'd be so frustrated.
And I mean, I think all the answers
You'd
are
have
in the
such a
metallurgy
migraine
guys.
every day.
You know, that's who knew what was going on, who was able to provide the answers. But
it's like getting a free check.
As far as we knew, if we didn't have the connection with those other groups, we weren't really going to make any progress.
Sit there and fuck
You were
around with it every
speculating
day.
that there was a type of
what I can
metallic
bounce
alloy
off
that
of
would
it.
work better.
Just sit there and
with
watch YouTube all day.
This concept. Was it Byzantine? Like what was
Bismuth?
it? Bismuth, yes.
Did I say that?
I don't think so.
I don't
No,
think,
it wasn't you?
I don't think
No.
so.
Someone that I talked to was explaining to
It's
me.
related to on the periodic table. I mean,
Right.
bismuth is above it, and 115 is below it. But we never did see any correlation between bismuth. This was a completely new material.
Well, I think. Oh, that's what it was. Oh, this is what it was. So one of the pieces that Gary Nolan had found that was
Who's
Gary Nolan is the guy at Stanford that has examined these pieces that are from supposedly crash sites where something had gone down and scattered. But some of these pieces, they're atomically layered. And
I've
it's
heard that.
Magnesium and bismuth seem to be prevalent. in these
Bismuth
things.
is the thing.
Yeah.
Bismuth is the thing. It's right above 115 on the periodic chart. And there's something about that. There's something about 115.
Yeah.
All this weird magnetism stuff with bismuth. There's a video from the Action Lab, the strange magnetism of bismuth. And
Yeah,
showing
it's
a bunch of
diamagnetic. Yeah.
So let him play it out a little bit.
Oh, I was trying to find that.
What is diamagnetic?
Diamagnetic is it opposes magnetic fields.
I see.
So it kind of makes sense if they're finding these pieces that are the way he was explaining.
That's bismuth, yeah.
The way he's explaining this, whatever this alloy was, this very small piece that was found, I believe, prior to the 1970s. I don't remember the exact date that he's had from one of these crashes. One of them was from Brazil that they had recovered, and someone had gotten possession of it in the 1990s, and someone had gotten it eventually to Gary Nolan. He said that to create this on Earth, first of all, it can't be done with current technology. We don't have the ability to do
The
this.
layering technology?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it would cost billions of dollars, just
seen
theoretically, to make this. And it doesn't
remember seeing
exist.
this,
Yeah, this is it. Alleged extraterrestrial metal, the bottom of a wedge-shaped craft at 1940s. 26 alternating layers, 1 to 4 microns, dark bismuth, with 100 to 200 microns of silver magnesium zinc alloy. Each piece received from the U.S. Army source were formed with a curvature that tapered.
Well, in the 40s.
Hargrave.
Right.
That, good
Yeah.
luck making
Well,
that
I
in
mean,
the
it
40s.
says a
That's the
wedge.
point.
Can you change the layout so that everybody's completely on the left side, and that way we get a bigger picture of the video that we're watching?
I gotta find the thing down here. Let me.
Tim, you're live, George.
No, I'm here. I'm watching. I'm also working at the same time.
How's that, George?
This will cut off the images that they share on screen. Everything that they share, they say, "Oh, look at this, look at that." It's always on the bottom right corner.
The only other way is to put it full screen and we don't see ourselves. Want me to do that?
Yeah, might as well.
And have everybody up against the
There
left
you go.
side.
Against the left side?
Yeah. See how it goes into a second column?
I can't.
It just going to throw everybody into one column.
No, it can't do that. That's just how it does it. There's no way to get around
He
that.
doesn't have the technology.
No, I can just do. I can
No,
do.
you're
this.
cool, cornbread man.
No, it's not. We're not mad at you, cornbread. It's just George has a thing with these boxes. I noticed, like here, it's got to be at the bottom or the top or whatever.
There. Oh, where's cornbread?
Did cornbread go?
I don't see him.
Oh, he said he'll take off. Oh, you ran cornbread off, George. Damn it.
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, well, he.
Damn it, George. There you go. You got your wish. Are you happy now?
Yes.
I mean, that's Roswell.
Well, I mean, what does it do? I
Right.
would like to see the test results of just the material. We can make that now.
We can?
Yeah, 1 to 4 microns of bismuth.
You're welcome to come back,
200 microns of
cornbread,
silver.
if you
Yeah.
want.
The thing is, like, making something like that in the 1940s is absolutely
No,
impossible.
in the 40s, forget
It's impossible.
it. But I mean, now we could fabricate something like that.
And it would cost a shitload of money. So, like, the idea that you would make something like that and just scatter it around. And go,
But what does it do?
Right. What does it do? Why? Why is magnesium and bismuth? Why in that particular array?
There is something about bismuth. There is something about bismuth. But that's why it's so fascinating. I would love to know where they. Look, it's been 40 years. I would love to know
Where they're at now.
Yeah, where they're at now. If they
Yeah.
continued.
Well, they had to have continued. I can't imagine you go, we're done.
No, I mean they may have moved it. I mean, like I said before, I mean they were anxious to move it out of there at that time. But
Are you aware of the labyrinths in Egypt that they've discovered? So there's this.
are you
thing-
talking about the
columns?
Columns.
No,
that
no,
are
no.
out?
This is unrelated. This is something different. So Herodotus discussed this. Now, my friend Ben Van Kerkwick, he has Uncharted X on YouTube. It's an amazing channel where he was a tech guy who just got absolutely fascinated by all these stories of ancient history and really got obsessed with Egypt and Peru and left his field and started making these incredible videos. But he's highly intelligent, incredibly articulate. And so these videos are just absolutely fantastic. And really, he's very well versed scientifically, so he can understand these things and explain them to you. Like they're examining like the construction of the pyramids and the whatever technology was used to carve the stones, and there's just so much of it that is like confusing because it clearly is like a very high level of sophistication and technology that's involved in creating these things. Well, Herodotus described these labyrinths that were underground in Giza, not in Giza, but Hawara, is that where it was? Jamie will find it. But the way Herodotus described it, he said they were far superior and more impressive than the pyramids of Giza. Underground. These labyrinths that exist underground were all accidentally when they created dams in order to provide irrigation to agriculture that was in the area. So they changed the water table, fucked it up. This whole area got flooded.
Did they know they were there when they accidentally?
No, they didn't, because a lot of this stuff, like this is from thousands and thousands of years ago. A lot of it was covered over with sand, and there had been some explorers a long time ago that went there and saw some of what was in there. But the way Herodotus described it, it's just absolutely fantastic. So then they started using ground-penetrating radar, and they started using these various technologies that could detect what was under the surface. And one of the things that they found was there's a massive atrium, and inside this
mentioned
atrium,
this to me.
yes, there is a 40-meter-long metallic object that is inside this atrium. 40 meters of some unknown metal.
How deep is it?
I believe it's 100 meters into the ground.
So you're telling me ground-penetrating radar can get to 100 meters underground?
The stuff that Filippo Bondi has used from satellites
The one that
gets
we were talking about.
more than a kilometer into the ground. And
with decent resolution?
Well,
no,
not decent resolution, but enough that you can see symmetry. Enough that they can also detect things that are well known.
100 meters is
chambers. Well, listen to this. They detected accurately a particle collider in Italy that is inside of a mountain, 1.2 kilometers below the mountain. It sees through the mountain and can detect this thing in the exact diameter, the exact dimensions that this thing exists. So they can show you.
And
this, yes,
a particle collider?
Yes. So this is a particle collider that they know exists, right? So this is an actual particle collider.
So they're looking for it to prove.
So it's just proof that this technology is not just.
Well, wait. I mean, hang on. I mean, how do they know it's a particle collider?
No.
Well, no, the particle collider exists. This is the Italians have this particle collider. It's known. They made it. It's like
they just
they didn't detect it underground.
Right. No, it's not like we found a particle collider.
Fucking CERN.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Everybody knows about CERN.
Through the mountain to this particle collider.
What?
Isn't he talking about CERN?
No, it's in Italy under a mountain.
Okay. It's the same thing as CERN.
Yeah, but it's a small one. They got a small one in America. I think every country has one now.
I wonder if that's affecting us at all.
Oh, fuck yeah, it is. It's like these data centers will.
These columns that are below the pyramids. These columns are 22 and they have something that resembles coils around them, and they're positioned at various points all around the structure is. It goes all the way down into hundreds of meters down, and then it goes to another structure, and the whole complex of these structures goes to
It's a kilometer underground.
well, you'd have to understand this technology. Was it called radio tomography?
He's pissed. You don't understand it.
Aperture radar, right?
Yes. Well, whatever this thing.
I'm old. What the fuck?
Resolution?
It's not decent resolution, but it's enough to understand the scope of what it is. It's enough to understand where spaces are and where.
Everybody
Called ground penetrating radar, retard.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll send you the podcast, and I'll send you some of his conferences where he was explaining this to.
He can't get over the fact
that
they can see past 100 meters.
They are.
Oh, I don't believe that. You can do that.
Currently being discussed. Well, they already know that there's these channels that go in the ground that have since been covered with silt and sand because the sand's constantly moving. But these things go hundreds of meters down. These
When those things were built, there wasn't sand there. Do you know that, Hargrave?
Look,
of course not.
Sure the fuck wasn't the Egyptians that built it.
Whatever this thing is that they have in an atrium, like if they said that they got that craft from an
Just like the Italians weren't the Romans. Did you know that?
Maybe the Egyptians had found something similar to this thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago.
I believe that's possible.
Yeah. Well,
the object that I actually got to speak to Filippo Biondi, by the way. He's in Italy, he's in Rome, we got to speak Italian, so we got to talk. And we talked about that. I had no idea they found something with a metal object on there, though.
This is not Filippo Biondi's work.
Oh,
this is some different scientists that are just studying the labyrinth. Jamie, pull up some of the schematics of the labyrinth.
So in the labyrinth, there's like a big large
atrium. You got to pee again?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Head up.
Yeah.
God, I feel like a fucking asshole.
Don't worry about it. Get some air. Clear your head.
I have a prostate.
So in this labyrinth, there's a large atrium.
Okay.
And in this large
He has a
atrium,
process
there's
for
essentially
peeing.
a tic-tac.
Really?
A tic-tac shaped object that is 40 meters long. That is of some unknown metal. They don't know what it is. They don't know how it works. But this structure is all underground in Egypt.
Which is wild because how it's 100 meters?
Well, we'll get a chance to look at it. This is Hawara. So there it says the 40-meter metallic object. See that where it says Hawara rising?
Yeah.
So if you click on that, it talks about the 40-meter metallic object discovered in Egyptians.
We can't read a report.
Subterranean labyrinth.
It's just people talking about it.
Right. Got it. But so whatever it is, we'll play out some of the video just so we can talk about it. So this whole thing, if you see some of the images that they're discussing.
My friends Louis the 40 minutes and looking into the images, I think.
And today we're
Tell me about the work that I Chicago and the team that was in Poland as well. And at that point is when I had met the person, Lucina Lobos, who later became my wife 6 months later.
So yeah, you actually were working with the NRAG and then the.
Yeah, that is not going to help us. But if you could just go to some of the images where they've sort of outlined what it is.
To find it. There's not a very clear image of the metallic object.
No, that's fine. But just the labyrinth itself, what do you think the structure of it was?
So I don't know where they got this from. Is also the other issue.
40-meter mystery metal object.
It's a weird rendering that doesn't usually come out from.
Right, but there's some other drawings of from the Herodotus days, and so this is what they think it looks like under the ground. Which is fucking completely bonkers. And if there is some 40-meter metallic object that's under the ground, and we are talking about like the sport model being a part of an archaeological dig, they might have found something back then and worshipped that thing and had that thing as like
they turned it into this as a pyramid.
They worshipped it.
I think there's something to that.
Well, all these people that believe that there was an incredibly advanced civilization before some sort of apocalyptic disaster.
They all died because it was covered in radiation.
And it took. That essentially is but a rebuild thousands and thousands of years later. That rings true with me. And
me too.
As Graham Hancock always says, we're a species with amnesia. And I think that makes sense. And I think if you're dealing with people that were basically knocked back into the Stone Age 11,000, 12,000 years ago, and it took us forever to rebuild to where we are now, I think we've gone down a completely different path than whatever the people that were able to build the pyramids of Egypt and all these fantastic megalithic structures, where we don't understand.
Yeah, we
what
don't know how that
technology we
happened.
use. We don't, and it literally doesn't make sense that they were able to do this.
It's even like when
They
we
were
see those big,
large.
gigantic stones, and they're not just piled together; they're like interlocked in weird shapes and all that. It's like, how did that happen? I mean, those are things that I agree with you.
Yeah, archaeologists are very reluctant to admit it, but there's tremendous evidence that not only were these people far more advanced than we think people should have been back then, but they're probably more advanced than we are now with some different kind of technology.
And maybe, again,
probably had
it's
free
like advanced, but in a
electricity,
different
too.
way.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
A different pathway.
Yeah.
They didn't go
our way.
Yeah, they didn't go internal combustion engine and electronics.
Because we would see something.
Exactly.
Right.
But might not. If you're thinking about 100,000 years ago, there might not be anything left, which is part of the problem.
Right.
But whatever this metallic object is, if they are able to figure out a way to divert some of the water there, so all layers converge at a central corridor or avenue, he said, like the atrium of a shopping mall, where you can see all floors from one vantage point. A hall consisting of a massive space, 40 meters wide and no less than 100 meters long. My personal interpretation, Tim said, is that the entire hall was constructed to house a centrally positioned freestanding object about 40 meters long.
Wow. Wow.
So this hall, they believe, was constructed to house whatever this 40-meter long unknown metallic object
How could
is.
they not dig that up?
Well, they could, but it's going to cost an immense amount of money.
Right.
And the thing is about the Egyptians, the people that run it, I had one of them on the podcast, Zahi Hawass, and he's incredibly dogmatic about his ideas of who built this and what. And when you say, how did they make these structures? 2,300,000 stones that weigh between 2 and 80 tons, the biggest stones cut from quarries that were hundreds of miles away through the mountain. And it's like, this was a national project.
Yeah,
Like,
the Egyptians did everything because they were awesome. Yeah,
and
right.
I'm sure they were awesome. I'm sure they were awesome, but it doesn't explain the technology involved because there's extreme technology. Just to be able to cut those things. Like one of the things that they don't understand is these vases. These vases that they made that are perfectly perfectly designed, where there's the difference between like the edges and the symmetry is like 1,000th of a human hair, and these are cut out of incredibly hard granite. They don't
really. I've never heard.
Yeah,
you guys are familiar with that.
This is a 3D print of one of them that exists.
Yeah, and they're fascinated by the perfection, and they're saying, how did they do that? We don't even know how to do that.
Incredibly hard stone
built with an incredible precision.
Yes,
and
incredibly
granite.
Incredibly hard granite, incredible precision. Back when they had no metal alloys, they had copper tools. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. And then there's the symmetry involved in some of these statues. Like they're perfectly symmetrical in terms of the distance between the eyes, the nose, the lips. No one's face is symmetrical. Your left side of your face is different. If you combine the two sides, they look it looks weird. But when you look at these statues which are massive, carved out of granite, again, supposedly before they had steel. Like they didn't have diamond-tipped instruments to do this. They polished them. They're perfectly symmetrical and massive.
It was a national project.
And they don't have any understanding of how people built these things or put them there. And they all seem to be the biggest, most spectacular ones are the oldest.
How could you not want to dig those up?
Yeah, well,
and look at them because I mean they're concerned about national pride, but if you dig them up,
it's not just national pride; it's the pride of the people that have been espousing this one narrative for so long.
Right.
That's part of the problem. The gatekeepers of the information.
It's still national pride.
It is,
right?
but these people are idiots. That's part of the problem. Like their own ego is preventing them from being open-minded and calling out to the world's research communities and saying, listen, there's something going on here. We don't have the big picture. We have a picture that we have formed from a limited amount of information, and we've been incredibly arrogant about what we're assuming. We also know that a lot of these pharaohs would carve their name and carve their hieroglyphs into existing things. They would claim existing things. Some of the carvings on these things are far cruder in the way they've done it than the actual construction of the thing. And they think that these are old things that were there already, and then these later pharaohs
just wanted to attach their name.
Chiseled their hieroglyphs into these things.
And another thing, and this has been mentioned a lot, is the fact that there's no tools that were ever discovered in those areas that would prove that those things were made with those. They have to use tools. They have to have something.
Right.
So there's not even that. That's not even available.
Right.
So it's like, how did they do it? Did they hide the tools? I mean, why would they do that?
It doesn't. None of it makes any sense. And also, these incredibly hard vases that you find, they're the oldest ones. They're the things that they find in the oldest sites.
Hey,
the most complicated, complex, confusing technology seems to be the oldest stuff.
Yeah.
There's also like
you had another guy here that does research on Peru, and he was talking. I can't remember his name. I got to meet him.
Luke Caverns. Was it him?
Yeah, he goes to Peru and he has a show about that, about the ancient stuff that they're finding underground in Peru.
There's a couple guys. What was the other guy?
He's got black hair. I can't remember his name.
That's Luke. The younger guy?
Yeah, younger guy.
Yeah, that's Luke. Yeah.
So basically, he was talking about the fact that there's 2 layers of ancient stuff in Peru. The first layer is younger, and what's below it is what's really incredible
and more complex.
More complex, but they don't want to go there because you're going to destroy an existing archaeological site that's on top of it. So what's happening is they're having trouble now getting permission to go to the lower level, which is even better, because they're going to have to break an archaeological site of a more recent part of that civilization.
Well, this is a common theme among people. We build on older sites. There's a place that I go to in Italy in the Amalfi Coast, and there's this incredible old church there that's over 1,000 years old, but it's built on an even older church, and there's a plexiglass floor.
That shows the old church.
Yes, and the old church is underneath it, and you can see the structure of this old church. And I was asking them, how old is the old church? They go, we don't know. It's over 1,000 years old. So
it's under plastic. We have no idea.
A really old church is on top of it. That's like hundreds and hundreds of years
old.
It
was sealed by my grandma.
On top of an existing structure. So this is a common theme. This is a theme in Peru where you see the Inca construction, which is like much less complicated, smaller stones, mud mortar, but it's on top of these megalithic structures that are carved in these jigsaw shapes where it seems like they've been melted.
Yeah.
It's freaky stuff. They have no understanding of what technology was used, who did it, how they moved these immense 1,000-ton stones and cut them with precision in this jigsaw way so that it will absorb the energy of earthquakes and not fall down.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean,
there's a lot of that stuff that's really, really freaky. And then you get into old religious texts, and that's when things get really freaky. You get to things like the Book of Enoch that talk about the Watchers who came down from the sky and created
clearly
humans.
a lot of unusual stuff happened a long time ago. A long time ago.
And we don't have a good record of it. We just have what we know, and what we know we get very arrogant about. We know what happened 300 years ago.
That's a really good point. What we know we get very arrogant about.
Right.
And it's anything else we don't.
These academics and these people that are in charge of the narrative, like the people in Egypt, where they're very arrogant and they're gatekeepers, because their whole identity is based on them being the ones that explain to the world how these incredible sites were produced. And if something comes along that is counter to that narrative, they fight it. They fight it because
Yeah, big time.
it's part of them. It's their identity.
When I spoke to Filippo Biondi, I talked to one of my cousins in Italy. I spent a lot of my time in Italy when I was younger. One of them, she was younger than I was when I was there, but she's now become a respected archaeologist in Rome, and she's an Egyptologist. Okay, and I went out to Italy to visit family, and I was sitting at the table. This is not even that long ago, and she's sitting next to me, and I mean, I remember her from being a kid, and she nudged me at the table. Her family's all academic. Everybody's a doctor or scientist or something like that. So there's always that pride of the science, and she nudges me, and in Italian she says, "I'm really interested in what you do, what you're looking into." And I knew what she meant. It was about UFOs. And I just responded, I'm even more interested in what you know about what's out there in Egypt. And she looked at me and she says, "We don't really know all of it. She said, a lot of it makes no sense." But she said it whispering because she knew that that's not well seen at the table, because now she's going to come across as this pseudoscience type of like, oh my God, she's going to come out of the mainstream, So, and then she went to her place, and I was still there. We were there for a couple of days. She came and gave me a little book, and in Italian, I don't know how to say it. The missing. I don't know how to say it in English, but the missing Vangelo, like the missing scriptures, basically. It's a little book in Italian about the missing scriptures that are not in the Bible, that speak of things that are not convenient for what we are arrogant to think we understand.
And one of the fascinating things about these missing scriptures is they found them alongside existing scriptures. So when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in Qumran, so they found these in a cave in Qumran, and it's kind of a crazy thing. Like someone threw a rock and hit a clay pot and heard the shattering of a clay pot. So they threw a rock into this high cave and realized there was something in there, and then they started looking, and they found these scrolls that were in these clay pots. Inside the scrolls, they found the Book of Isaiah. It was 1,000 years older than the oldest version of the Book of Isaiah that we had ever found, and it's identical, verbatim, to the Book of Isaiah that is currently in the Bible. Along with it is the Book of Enoch, and the Book of Enoch is fucking squirrely.
Yeah, the Book of Enoch is squirrely. Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Just a few rabbis decided that the Book of Enoch was too weird because it didn't jive with the Torah, so they left it out of the biblical canon.
That's right.
That's why it's not taught. But the Book of Enoch is readily available. You can read it. And it's also in the Ethiopian Bible. The Ethiopian Bible includes the Book of Enoch.
Really?
Yes. And those are the people that supposedly are in possession of the Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant, yeah.
Which is like, Graham Hancock talks about it. There's like a person is set to, like they have a job of watching the Ark of the Covenant, but it's known that it's going to kill them. So they all get cataracts and cancer.
Yeah,
and
like
they all
it has like bad things. Yeah, that's
well, it
right.
has some sort of radiation apparently. And they exhibit signs of radiation poisoning when these people are designed to be the curators.
Where is the Ark of the Covenant
in
supposed
Ethiopia?
to be?
Supposedly in Ethiopia.
So you guys think that's...
I mean,
I think it's ancient technology. I think it's probably ancient technology. It's probably some completely not understood ancient technology.
No, I'm not discounting it. I'm just wondering.
Well, I like the fact that you're skeptical, even though you have the craziest fucking story of all time. But it speaks to your integrity. It really does, because you're not a guy who believes kooky shit. So for you, a guy who doesn't believe kooky shit is a hard, rational scientist who's an engineer who's done things like put a rocket engine in the back of a fucking Honda, and then or a hydrogen-powered Corvette, and then you go and see these things. You're like, wait, what the fuck is this thing you have?
Look,
in this
I
hangar?
worship technology.
Right.
Nothing else.
Right.
So, I mean, to hear something like that, do you think that actually exists?
I don't know. Graham Hancock is convinced it exists. It's very carefully guarded, and these people have been guarding it for centuries.
I mean, it's throughout history, right?
Yes.
So,
I mean, there's too many missing pieces of the puzzle to really say one way or another. I don't think
whether or not it was just mythology or an actual...
Right.
Okay.
But it is weird that he's talked to these people that have these fucking cataracts, and these people all say the same thing. They die. The people that are designed or that are designated to be the curators of this particular religious
I
object.
relate this back to I think I told you the first time we met, if somebody found a nuclear reactor back at that time, and they took it apart, they just would drop dead, from the radiation. Magically from that. And anybody that came in to check on them would also die, and they go, this is evil, it's cursed or whatever.
Or something that you're not supposed to have access to because it's
or
divine.
some other, right. And get this to be something at another level,
That, I have to say, and I'm not one to say it, but I struggle with divine stuff because I'm like, this craft or this technology, I mean, our phones to somebody 1,000 years ago would look like some divine object. I mean, it's technology.
Not necessarily.
So we have to be very cautious in, like, I'm not saying there is no
You
divine
don't know what they had to
we don't know,
communicate with.
I think
Look at the fucking
technology
pyramids
really
they
could
built.
mask itself as divine power.
100%. Or divine energy itself could be technology taken to its final form.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
if you think about what we're talking about with sentient AI, an AI that has the
Our
ability
cell
to make
phones
better
can be
versions of
child's
itself,
play
what
compared to
happens
the
if it's
stuff
left
they did.
alone for 1,000 years to do this? Well, what do you have? You have something that can harness the power of the universe itself. It has access to zero-point energy, can do whatever. I mean, it has a complete understanding of quantum entanglement, complete understanding of how the universe functions, how it was created. I mean, there's new theories that believe that the entire universe itself exists inside of a black hole. They're trying to figure out whether or not there ever was a Big Bang, or if it's a continuous cycle of things existing inside black holes.
So where do you think we are? What do you think this is?
I think it's a process. I think we're at a stage of a process. Our problem is we have ideology, we have dogma, we have ego. We have people that are smarter than most people, but want to think that they have all the information, and I don't think they do. And then we have open-minded people that are curious but don't want to look like kooks, and they're all trying to figure it out while we're making a fucking digital god. While these weirdo on the spectrum
We are literally manufacturing our own god.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But if you
we are.
you take that and you extrapolate, you go from where it is now, you think about the exponential increase of technology. Well, where does that go? It kind of goes divine. I mean, that might be what God is. We want to think that God is a thing that exists. It just exists. It created everything. Maybe we make God.
Yeah. We're on the same channel. Yeah, I think we created. I think we.
Maybe we unleash Satan.
Human curiosity.
Blasphemy.
For innovation.
Maybe we unleash Satan.
I'll say something about the technology.
Yeah, they don't consider that an option, do they?
To build it in
No.
virtual environments. I kind of had to think about it while I'm doing it, but if you really think about what this technology
Remember,
that you
Satan
saw
can't
does,
create
it essentially
anything.
creates this artificial field of whether it's maybe it's natural, maybe it's a
Only
natural
God
field, but
can.
it creates a field that we're not familiar with, and that field.
But
I mean,
we
Joe,
can
you
make
saw
a
the movie.
gate.
There was a test that was done in the lab that froze a candle flame.
Right.
Okay, but the photons are still visible within our realm here outside of the field, and you're still seeing the photons. Yet it looks like it's frozen. To me, is that technology like a black hole? Is it some type of time stop? And it basically gives us the power to utilize time in our advantage. If you think about progression in technology, anything we do, it takes time. Anything takes time. Whether it's computing power, now we're seeing quantum computers do things that they're faster and faster, and they can do 1 trillion processes in an instant, and Japan is coming up with better, and then China. But because everything has to do with how long does it take to do that.
Right.
If a technology can make you bypass time, it's like the record player playing music, but you're now able to lift the little pin on the record and move it to wherever you want.
Yes,
and
that's a good way to describe it.
Right? And now at that point, time is in your hands. And if we have a technology similar to what you saw, because you always said gravity is gravity and time, it's interlocked, right?
And space and time
yeah,
are interlocked.
Exactly. So if that's interlocked, then we have to look at it not just as a propulsion system or some type of cool weapon, but how is it affecting time, and how can we use that to our benefit to evolve faster? Because again, the faster we can compute, the faster we could do something, the faster we're evolving. And if we could lift that needle and bring it faster to get there, to get somewhere, why not use it?
Or should we be allowed to do that?
Us in our current form.
Yeah.
No.
Like I said, I'm not exactly on our side anymore.
Well, that was one of the. Do you remember, Jamie, who discussed the use of weapon deployment systems?
Yeah. I'm not sure we should be trusted with this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. No, really.
Well,
really.
You think about what we're doing in Iran right now, you would say no.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say no.
We're
for
still
sure.
flying over patches of dirt and bombing the fucking shit out
No,
of it.
imagine if we had something a million times that power.
Right.
Really, humans should not.
Doesn't he
be
know
trusted
about the
with that.
rods of God?
AI. That's what we're making a bomb.
This is getting scary. Yeah.
You know Hardgrave does.
But it's not science fiction
No, I
anymore.
mean, it's
Yeah, I do
too.
fun of it now, but
Right.
no, this is dangerous stuff, and I'm sorry for the people
Or
who think it's
harp.
all a joke.
Yeah.
It's not. This is real.
Yeah.
And I'm really not sure we should be trusted with this. That's maybe why for 40 years or
I don't
60
think
years.
you realize
people
what we
have
already
believed
have.
I would agree.
And
Well, that's
this
the
is
most logical conclusion.
Yeah, this is
Whatever we
incredibly
use in
dangerous stuff.
Venezuela
And
fucking
again,
trumps
it's world
everything.
Dominating technology.
Rods of
And
God, or
I
whatever
don't
the
know
hell
what
they
to do
call
with
it.
other than to keep it.
That's been up
from
there
people.
for a while.
So,
And
Yeah,
how do
it's
we know
just
if it
fucking
comes up-
titanium
something
rods
I
that they
always
like.
struggle
They're
with
like
is,
telephone poles.
let's
They
say
just throw them
let's say
down
you
at the
get
earth. No
some
fucking.
type of thing
it's
saying,
tungsten.
all right, we have to see it from somebody in the
Tungsten
government.
Yeah,
steel
whatever.
rod.
It's gonna
Whoever that
fucking
says,
hit the
okay,
ground
here
with
we
so
are,
much
we have
fucking
this.
inertia. It's
Well,
gonna be
first of
like
all,
a
we have to
nuclear
validate it.
bomb.
The journalists
It's
are
like
going,
several
the media is not going to just trust
nuclear
somebody saying
bombs.
that. They're going to go, okay, wait a minute, what are you talking about, right? So it's not like because somebody says it, we just have to swallow it. It's like, all right, go, show us, right?
see it, yeah.
And then when you
Hiroshima
do
and
that, well, now
Nagasaki
you're
would be
exposing
child's
something
play.
else. What happens when we need to believe it? Like as people, what has to happen for me to believe something that somebody says? There really has to be something serious that makes me believe it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if a president or anybody, prime minister, whoever it is, says something to me, I'll still go like, okay. I mean, show me.
Right.
And then
Drop
when
one of
they
those
show
on
it,
Iran, and
how
they'd
do I know that's
probably lay
actually
all
that?
their guns down.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, we now have to go to another level of, okay, well, if we
Well,
have to
Trump
prove it,
just
we have to bring
threatened
in
him. He said by
scientific community.
Tuesday, or
Okay,
it's on.
That means they have access to it.
He's taking
What's
out
the security
bridges and
parameters
power
there?
plants.
Right, and then you get compartmentalization.
Exactly.
Right. And then that stops.
and then
you
that
sort of
stops.
understanding.
There you go.
And that's why you have this stagma, this stagnation of where you've got these people working on this thing for decades and not making any progress.
Do you know how far we could have gotten if there was free discussion between all the groups working on this?
Right.
Yeah.
But then you also have these fucking psychos like from Dr. Strangelove that want to turn it into a nuclear delivery system.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about them detecting nuclear bombs headed their way. You just instantaneously devastate Moscow in one shot. Boom. You don't have to take credit for it.
Yeah, but we.
Right. No, it's like we are not ready. Right.
Yeah, no, I know we're not ready, but we'd be more advanced if we did that. No, I mean, I agree that I agree with that. But
He seems
it's
like
all
he's
very
pro.
strange, and no one knows more strange than you. Like,
No, there are plenty of people that know more strains than me. I mean, Dennis knew more strains than me. Anybody above him knew that. I just knew a small part of it.
But you, out of all the people that can talk about it, that are out there communicating about it, you have actually seen it physically.
Yeah, I try to only talk about what I've seen and touched and verified. I've heard plenty of other stuff that I don't know if it's true or not. And there's no sense in repeating that because nonsense moves at the speed of light these days.
Right, yeah, it does.
And that's just, it's terrible.
You live in a weird existence, Bob. You really do. Because you've been holding on to this and you have this experience from 40 years ago that's just become a part of folklore. It's become part of the zeitgeist. Like, this is why your podcast that we did is the most watched podcast I've ever done. This resonates with people in a way that, look, I've done a lot of UFO ones. I had Travis Walton on. I've had a lot of people that have stories. They're all very interesting. They don't get nearly the amount of traction that yours does. And I think it's because you're uniquely credible. You're uniquely credible in the fact that you are very skeptical. You're not interested in, like, these fantastic ideas. You're very dismissive of nonsense. But yet you have this burden. Like, you actually physically touched these fucking things and went inside.
Yeah, I did.
them.
I mean, I was fortunate enough to have this really unique job. That's about it. And I am fascinated with the technology. But that's where it stops. I'm not interested in anybody else's story, although everybody has to email me. And, I understand it. That they're looking for somebody. Hey, I saw this thing out when I was on my boat. And, what is it? I don't know. I mean, they're just looking for something. And it's,
right.
I don't know, maybe it was Venus or something. And
right.
like, oh, my God, you suck. You work for the government. It's like, dude, I'm just looking for a prosaic explanation. And,
right.
And, but I only know what I saw and I touched for myself. And everything else, even in official government documentation, it's just words on paper.
Yes.
I don't know if that stuff is true. So you got to draw the line there.
Yes.
But, I know what I did see, I know for a fact, and there is no way you can tell me that that's not real.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, in having worked with him and having, inadvertently, there's no way that myself or people on my team weren't trying to dig deeper. And maybe there's a problem. Maybe there's going to be a gap. Maybe we'll find something wrong with the story because we went very deep. We had to build S4. We had to build a sport model, and there were things that happened over the years, things that he had said to us before we had built it, that there's no way he could have known because there was physicalities, real things that we built. When you build something in a 3D environment, you're actually building a real world. It's got light bounce and refractions like the real world. Like when you turn on the light, it does the same thing. If a material has a sheen, you see it. It's literally the same thing. It's just computing power that gives you access to another world. And he mentioned things that were absolutely impossible to know. And
like what?
One of the things that two things really convinced me. One of them was in the interior of the craft. You had said to us it was very dark in there. And while Bob is explaining to us this interior of the craft, and many times he kept repeating, it was really dark in there.
Even though there were halogen lights.
Right, and so at a certain says, as I'm extension cords, and I remember going, extension cords? Like that hadn't computed. And he's like, yeah, they had lights in there. And I'm thinking, it's true. I mean, there's no light switch inside this big thing. It's 52 feet. It's big. And so he said, yeah, there were two big industrial industrial lights with 4 spots each pointed up. And so we decided to make those. We decided to research the type that were used back then in the United States, especially on military bases, the halogen power, because it was halogen in 1988, and we turned them on.
And it was still dark.
And it was super dark.
Yeah.
And I remember Christopher Matteau, by the way, a big shout out to Christopher Matteau that's on my team who made a lot of those visuals, and he's like a magician. He's the best. He's there, and I said, Chris, turn on the lights, because we have to film in the craft. And he's like, they're on. I said, they're not fucking on. I can't see anything. He's like, they're fully on. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's so dark in there.
Yeah,
I remember thinking,
it consumes light in there.
And so we upped the power of the light so that you could see more. And it was still dark. And I thought, what the hell is happening? I go, is there a bug? Is there something wrong? He goes, no, I don't know. It's absorbing the light in there. We had to up the light intensity on those tripods by 20-fold in order for you to see the visuals you see in our film. Otherwise, it would be really dark in that craft.
So how did you compute that? Like, what parameters did you establish?
So what you do is you're inside a 3D environment. You're in a 3D world. Now we're inside the craft that is 52 feet in diameter. We bring a camera in there. So we were filming. The whole film was done with the Blackmagic 6K cam. So we would bring our Blackmagics in the 3D environment. You can actually set that so that we could film inside the craft. So it matches the filming of our real cameras. And so as soon as the camera's
That's
on, it's the same lens, it's the same aperture. Everything is as you would have it. And so you're trying to adjust for this dark room. But if the room is really dark, you can't really get a good look at it, because if you go close enough, you would have seen like a seat and a little bit of the reactor, but you would have been like, what's the black screen I'm looking at?
So what is the explanation for why it's so dark?
It's just the way the light reflects on it.
And that is exactly, when you're in that space.
Right,
exactly.
but here's the question, like what are you, when you're making this in a computer model,
right?
What are you putting in that would make it absorb light that way?
I didn't do that. So what we did is we spent over a year with Bob. I'm not kidding. It was like a year of trying to figure out the material of the craft, the actual skin of the craft. That was the hardest thing to do.
The specularity and the reflectivity of the actual material and the angle.
Yeah.
And then when the lights are in there, they just reflect at a weird angle, and it never gets bright in there unless you have tremendous amounts of light in there. It's always dark.
And sorry to interrupt, but that would have been, so when that happened, and we have the right material, which is like this, let's call it unpolished stainless steel. It's got a little bit of usage to it just to give it some texture. It's got the same sheen, reflection, refractions of a real material like that, because every time we put a fake light in there, okay, it's reacting like that. And now you turn these big halogen lights on, and it's like the part of where the halogen is hitting the ceiling of the craft, because they were turned upwards. Remember, Bob said they were not pointed like this. They were pointed to the ceiling of the craft. So you got two of them. It's like wherever the light was going was getting eaten up by that portion of the material. So it's not reflecting all the way. So you have a 52-foot distance, and it's being lost in a maybe 7-8 foot diameter environment area where the light is. And we're like, why is that happening? But that's how it does. Well, that's the reality. He could not have known that. If he's trying to make that up, anybody who's inventing a story says there's two industrial light with four bright halogen spots in there, a liar would not say it was really dark in there. You don't know that. You have to build it.
Right.
So to me, that was a physicality of being inside the craft that made me go, Lazar could not have known that if he was making that up.
You wouldn't know it until you experienced
Exactly.
it. Right.
So I'm like, unless Bob back then decided to go in his garage, build himself a fake dome, which I don't think you did, I'm like, how would he have known that? We didn't expect that. We were struggling with, why is it so dark in there?
And you make films, so you're used to using lighting.
Exactly. And Chris was like, dude, this thing is just eating up the light. And I'm like, Bob kept saying it's so dark in there. And it just, how is that possible?
What were the other things?
The other one, I laugh about this with Bob all the time. It's about the flag on the craft that you could have seen it.
I don't remember.
So when he walked into the hangar the very first time, he saw the very first time
the backwards flag.
He saw the craft, and he saw the reversed American flag sticker on the craft.
I wonder why it was reversed.
I was talking about
that
this last night on our show.
I'll say what I think. And there's a lot of stuff. I researched a lot of stuff on Bob Lazar before I did this, and there's a lot of bad information out there. So I really tell people, if you really want to see what he saw, don't go read what's out there. Check this out, because Bob actually vetted everything. So it's not the wrong information to read. But anyway,
pause for a moment.
Detractors saying there's no way Lazar could have seen that flag. If the craft was that size and it was on the hull on the craft shell, there's no way the angle. He's 5-something. He wouldn't have been able to see it. So we built a 50.
Do you remember when I was talking about that American flag last night?
And my team, Chris, gives me the goggles, the ones I made you try on, and it's the very first time I go in there, and I know.
So they got it in a spaceship.
And now they're hoping, because they're there
Yeah, they
with
stuck
notes,
a
they're hoping
sticker
I'm
on
giving
it.
them all the notes. Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. And the first thing I did is I looked
To
to my
mark
right,
which
looking at
side
the
of the
craft.
thing was the
And
right side.
I asked Chris to put me at 5'10", which is your height. So I said at 5'10", I'm Bob's height with the goggles. I want to see. And the first thing I said is, there it is. And they're like, there what is? I said, the flag. And they thought I was pointing at a flag on a wall. And they're like, there's no flag in the hangar. I said, no, on the craft. And they're like, yeah? I said, you could clearly see it. It was clear. That was something that also made me go, yeah, this is it. This is the real size. So had Bob Lazar not actually seen that, the majority of the detractors out there kept saying there's no way at that angle a human eye could see a sticker on the top of the craft, which is on the top shell. But you can. It's as clear as day. Yeah. So those were two things that I consider to be like, it's there. So I know to maybe some people that's not a lot, but as a person like I am, who's very technical, I'm super difficult. It took a long time to do this because I'm a perfectionist, and I wanted to make sure it was accurate to what he saw. I look at stuff like that because I analyze everything like that. And I analyzed this story inside out.
And if you couldn't see the flag from that position, it would be a red flag.
That would have been a red flag for me. I would have been like, wait, you can't see it, but you can. So you can't put enough of a value on little details like that, because he didn't say this in 2026. He said this in 1989.
Right.
Why?
Why do you think the flag was reversed?
In American flag use law,
here we go.
We were able to ascertain is the fact that on military or on vehicles, anything military on a uniform, if ever you see an American flag on your right shoulder, it's reversed because it's how the wind is blowing the flag. On your left side, it's like the flag is because the wind is blowing this way. If you look at vehicles, let's say a Greyhound bus, they have American flags on each side, and they have a normal one on the left side, and a reversed on the right side because it's the right side of the vehicle.
So it's blowing
because
the
wind is
flag
blowing the flag that way.
Yeah.
So the reversed American flag is an actual. It's the law of how to use the flag in the United States military or on vehicles, and it has to be like that on the right side. So to say, is that the right side of the craft?
Yeah, it must be.
So it's always going forward.
Into the craft, the seats when you go into the craft,
We
I
never
can't wait for you to
retreat.
go in the craft. When you go inside, the seats are facing the right side, meaning the hatch is the right side of the craft. It's the only thing that came to mind. I mean, is that what they did at S4? They fucking put a sticker on it? I mean, it's the only logical thing we could think of, is that's why it was there. I don't know.
They were marking it. Come on.
Because if it was an American
Yeah.
if
It's ours, bitch!
identifying this is America.
This is our right
Why
side
would
of
you
the
reverse
ship.
Right?
You're reversing it because it's indicating the direction in which it travels.
Exactly. That's just an interesting.
Yeah, I know where the front door
It's
is.
all interesting. The goggles is a trip.
Right.
When I put on the 3D
Exactly.
AR goggles and you VR goggles rather, and you stand in that warehouse, that hangar, and look at it, it's very strange. It feels
That's
weird.
exactly like it was.
It feels very weird. It feels very weird because I mean I'm only imagining what it's like to actually be you in 1988 and be standing there.
When you put the goggles on, that's exactly how it was.
What did Dennis say when you first saw it? He was like, huh? Like, come
No,
on.
Dennis was hardcore.
Yeah.
He was here. Look at that. Come back in here. I mean, there was no reaction. Barry, on the other hand, was out of his mind. He couldn't wait to show me stuff, and he said, check this out. Oh my God, was that awesome? But Dennis was, it was like a hardcore, military guy. Yeah.
How much of a view did you get of the other crafts? Because it's one of the things in the film, you only see like hints of them.
That was it.
That's it.
That's it. What you saw in the film is exactly what it was. It was just a passing thing. And as I was walking out there going, wow, there's more. Everything looks different. And other than the first two hangars, I really couldn't tell what was passed out there. But
There's
other
more.
there were things inside them.
That's in the
But
It's also
realization
interesting
of
that at the time in 1988, this site was not even confirmed. This was like for you to have to know about this and know the exact location of it is kind of strange.
Right. We got
Now,
a
Luigi
Lamborghini,
did
a
that. I mean, I gave him a
Ferrari.
general idea. I said, I know.
They all run on
There's
water.
the
I'm out
flag.
there, and I could see Papoose Lake and behind me.
The
He,
hill.
he pulled up a lot of stuff from there. But another interesting thing he pulled up was there was an old silver mine exactly there, in the exact same place. And I wonder if they used that as it was already drilled. There was already corridors in there.
I actually held this for this show. What I'm about to say is the first time ever. It's not even. It didn't make it in my film. I wish it did, but it didn't make it in the film. Veronica on our team. She's my sister. She's like my right hand. And if I didn't have her, I wouldn't be here right now. She found this. And at a certain point, we were looking at the maps out there, and you'll see in my film that Gene Huff sent us some U.S. Department of the Interior official maps of that environment at the Groom Lake, Papoose Lake. But we weren't satisfied. We wanted to go deeper. We said there's got to be more. And there's one map that is a publicly available map. It's super not easy to find, by the way. That is in the hands of the U.S. Department of the Interior. I could get it to you if you want. I can email it to you. That map is the oldest map of Papoose Lake known in the hands of the government that is public domain. That map, and everybody's going to be listening to this, clearly shows a road that goes right into where S4 is. It doesn't show a road near it. It shows a road going right in the mountain. And they removed it. That map is from 1941. Okay? Right after that, the map is 1950 and 1952, and those roads were removed. But the oldest map we ever found, it's going to be available. We're going to post it on our website. It's going to be everywhere. It shows clear as day a road that goes right into the mountain, exactly where Bob Lazar said S4 was.
So do you think that was the road to the silver mine initially?
Yes, I believe that. Yeah,
It makes sense that they would use an existing facility and just enlarge it instead of start from nothing.
Right, of course, especially if it's abandoned.
Yeah.
And it also makes sense that if Roswell was real, and if they really did find a crashed UFO in 1947, like in the 1950s, they'd be like, let's get rid of this fucking road.
Right?
Yeah, if we're putting this out there, if we're building this facility out there, and if they did have it, that also makes sense that they've worked on this for decades. You come along in 1988, they've got this happening in the 1950s, and it's still there.
Yeah.
I think what happened is when the CIA took over, because CIA is the one who took over they're the ones at Area 51. I think what happened is as they took over, they just removed the road. It wasn't even because there was a flying saucer there. I just think they got in there, took control of that terrain, that whole landscape, and said, remove it off the maps, because it's there prior to them taking ownership of that land. So, I mean, it's clear that there was a road there, and then they came in, CIA said, take it out, and S4 might have had already an installation. It wasn't an installation, but they probably had a tunnel in there already because it was a mine. So it was an easier way to build a big facility in the side of the hill. Makes sense.
It does make sense. And then there's also the images that you got of what looks like the hangar bay doors that are camouflaged.
And I have to say that...
Can I go again?
Yeah,
all right.
sorry.
No worries.
That's all good.
Prostate problem.
Technology will fix that. It'll remove your prostate. Turn you into a fucking alien. So that image that you got of unfortunately, it's kind of blurry, but you do see something that looks very similar to what you'd expect to be camouflaged garage bay doors.
I got contacted by a guy called Scott Mitchell, and I was getting contacted by everybody, Joe. Everybody was trying to get in and getting to make me work with them or use something they found. So I was ignoring 99% of people's it's getting tiring. Everybody's like, you got to listen to me. I know stuff about that. I'm like, whatever. I'm working with Bob Lazar. I have enough right now. But this guy, we had built the base. And I knew exactly where it was. I knew exactly the layout. And this guy, he not only contacted me, but he sent me an image that he had drawn. He didn't want to send me what he had found, but he says, here it is. This is where the doors are, and this is exactly where they point to. And I looked at the image, and I said, not bad. I mean, you really nailed it in the image. And I thought, okay. At first, I thought somebody on my team leaked something we had. To be honest, I'm like, who did that? Who sent out one of our renders to somebody? And because that's what I thought. And they're like, no, this is what. So I talked to this guy, and he's really, really good at researching, and he ended up becoming probably one of the best he's one of the best I've ever seen. His name is Scott Mitchell, and he says there are pictures that were taken in 2020. And ironically, those pictures were taken on December 25th, 2020, which is Christmas Day in the middle of COVID, which means the base might have been shut down. If you think about that, you know what I mean? Like it's COVID, it's like in the heat of it, plus it's the 25th of December, so there's probably nothing going on there. And this private pilot in a small Cessna requested access inside the perimeter, and they granted him permission. And he had a big Nikon camera on board with a big telescopic zoom, and he took a shit ton of pictures, and they're amazing. They're all public. They're all available. You can download them. And there's these pictures of Papoose Lake and the hill, but they were being used on the internet for a long time. Everybody's like, see, Bob Lazar is a fraud. It's not real. There's nothing there. Well, of course you can't see it. It's, first of all, 17 miles away, and secondly, they're not designed for you to see it. And that also, let's talk about something that Bob was talking about in 1988. The picture was taken in 2020. I mean, there could be that could be a different landscape now. Anyway, so he said, look, this image, if you change the contrast, you got to keep the original, but just move and try to extract data from your image. You know, anybody who knows how to do that with photography, you can do that. And he pulls out these geometric shapes. You could see them. They're like little. They look like rectangles. And I thought, what if this is not real? I was super skeptical. I'll be honest with you. We're talking about the picture with the doors on the hangar doors, the one from Scott Mitchell, the one that we have in the film.
Oh, right.
And so I didn't believe it. I thought, there's no way. I go, there's no way this is real. I don't believe it. So Scott was really cool. He said, look, man, I understand you're a skeptic. I get it. I want you to do me a favor. Go online, search it yourself. I won't even tell you where it is. I'll just tell you who took the pictures. The only thing he gave us is the picture number is 0501. That's what the picture number is. He goes, if you find it, have whoever on your team playing around with it until you see it. That was fair, because I said, okay. Because, I mean, if it's out there, there's two different places it was on
Oh, happy
online,
Easter,
and the one place we
HG.
got it from was the source of it, okay? Was from the photographer, the guy himself.
Happy Easter, man.
We take it. I had 3 different people on my team. Everybody's really good at all this stuff on my team. So I said, guys, this is what we need to see. If you guys could pull it up, I'm not going to be as skeptical. Everybody got it almost in the same time. They were playing around, and eventually the easiest software we used to get that detail out was DaVinci Resolve. And with DaVinci, it's a faster process than if you're messing around with Photoshop or whatever. And it came, and I was like, oh my God, it's really there. You could clear. So what I did is I had them scan the rest of the picture because it's pixels, right? So I said, let's also see if it's not some pixelation. Is it maybe just what the photo does? Maybe we just got lucky and it looks like that there. Maybe it's going to show something similar elsewhere, and it doesn't. And then I said, all right, go get me 0502. I want 0500. Because the guy kept snapping pictures. I want you to do the same. Like, we went really military. Like I said, I want to make sure this is real. I'm not going to put our name on this if it's not. And it ended up being, other pictures also show it, by the way, because he went click, click, click. So it's like, it's not just that one. That's the clearest one. And so I was, at a certain point, I go to Bob's house, and I'm sitting there, and the guy calls me. Scott Mitchell calls me, and he has no idea I'm with Bob Lazar. So I pick up, it's a video call, and he goes, hey man, what's going on? I said, well, look who I'm with. And he just like exploded, because he was like, oh my God, you're with Bob. And I said, show him. And so Bob was there, and we showed it. We ended up transferring the call on a Zoom call, and he showed it, and you said, yeah. Like, I remember you going, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that.
What did that look like to you when you saw those images?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome. What was really shocking was the first hangar was bigger.
Yeah,
because that was the big hangar. Yeah, because the first hangar is a big hangar, and there's a bunch of smaller ones. And I said, Jesus, the first hangar is bigger. You found it. You found it. So I mean, that was, I just lit up at that point.
Yeah.
What happens if you look at that site with Google Earth?
That is with Google Earth.
No, that was the picture. But Google Earth. But Google Earth, and I'll tell you something about Google. Yeah, that was the.
That wasn't with Google Earth.
No, the picture is a real photo. The picture of the hangar doors is a real photo.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Google Earth.
No, the picture's a real photo. The Google Earth, though, you see that.
Surprised that guy's still alive.
I can't make this up. I didn't want to put anything in the film. That was one of my things. I did not want to put anything in the film that would make me, the whole team, or even Bob look like we're trying to like MacGyver something in there. It has to be. You go look for it yourself. It's public. If you don't believe it, go check it out yourself. Right. That's the only thing we allowed in there.
Right.
And when you go on Papoose Lake on June 22nd of 2024, June of 2024. Google Earth changed. You're going to be right over Papoose Lake. If you zoom in, you're not going to notice it, because it's kind of a yellowish tint to the image. And I remember going, why is it so yellow? I mean, I'd been there so many times. I was like, why the fuck is it turned so yellow? And I'm like, so I'm zooming out, and I'm like, why did they fuck it up? I thought they fucking ruined everything. It's all yellow. And as I go further, you see this box that is like right over Papoose. So I'm like, what is that? And I put my mouse over it, and wherever you're in the box, it's June 22nd, 2024. And as soon as you put your mouse outside of the box, well, it's an older date. And I thought, oh, they just did that. And so I think what they thought they were going to do is that new filter right over Papoose Lake removes every possible detail on the terrain, the landscape, where the brushes are and the Joshua trees are. It really, really removes all that. It blurs everything out. But they made a mistake. They made a huge error. I believe so. And I think if they're listening, they're going to go, yeah, our bad to the DOD, because you see all the tracks on the lake. For some reason, that filter accentuates the tracks on Papoose Lake and removes the landscape brushes. I don't know why. It just did that. And I was like, holy shit, you see all these
Just so you all know, they're
But it
talking
looks
about a
like
dry
they're
lake
trying to
bed.
purposely obscure the area.
Yes.
And the fact that it's in a very clear box.
A lot of
And you
lakes
talked
in
about that
Nevada
in the film.
don't.
It's kind of
They're
bonkers.
called lakes,
There's
but
really
they're
no
alkaline
reason.
dry
To
lake
pick
bed.
one little square
Ain't
box
no
that-
water.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
That nobody goes to,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So
try to obscure it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why
And so
would you?
I thought, geez, we got to put this in there. I mean, it's so cool, right?
It's all very compelling. I think we should wrap this up, but the film's excellent.
That's why
Thank you,
there's
congratulations.
tracks.
You can tell it took a tremendous amount of effort, and I could tell by watching you watch it when we watched it together that it had an insane impact on you.
It
and
really-
you had already
it
seen
really
it before. I saw it with you, so you were just seeing it again, and it's just like, it's bonkers.
Yeah, it really affected me. And is there anything else you want to say? There's a couple things I want to bring up.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
Just because I've heard stuff Luigi has told me. People think that I make millions of dollars off of this
yeah.
stuff. and, and I don't. I would love to sign on to the millions of dollars program. You know, Jeremy made his movie, and I didn't get a cent from Jeremy's movie. I said, anything you make, give to George. You know, Luigi has spent millions of dollars of his own money, literally, right?
Literally.
And, you know, making the stuff, and I can't see how he's ever going to make the money back if he does.
I
That's
hope, but-
awesome. I drive a 1980 something.
Not a 1980. You drive
No,
2000.
No, a 2018
Yeah.
Chevy Bolt electric car. I mean, it's a car you'd buy for your teenage daughter. It's embarrassing to drive. It cost me $18,000. You know, my house on the 10 acres cost $450,000. And you know, back when I got it, I mean, that's I work 6 to 7 days a week at United Nuclear, my business. I mean, if there's anyone that wants to give me millions of dollars, please contact me immediately, because I would like to retire. But no, I don't make millions of dollars off this stuff. And my wife and I do fine. We grow our food in our greenhouse, and we live in our little place up in the mountains, and that's it. But you know, this is Luigi's thing. That's why he's here.
I think the film's going to be very successful, and I think you're probably going to make money off it.
I wouldn't be surprised that if he was to take money for it, he'd get in trouble.
I think we should wrap it up. Thank you very much, Luigi.
Thank
knocked
you,
it out of
Joe.
the park.
Thank you.
It's fantastic, Bob. Great to see
I
you.
bet
again.
you
As
there's a
always,
legal
I'm sorry.
loophole. He can't get money for any of it.
It's understandable. It's understandable. And again, the film. Let's show it on the screen, Jamie, so people can know where they can see it, when it's available.
Yeah, it's available actually as
Here's
of
the
right
trailer.
now.
Let's play the trailer. We'll end
Yeah,
it with
let's do that.
S4, the Bob Lazar story. We'll end it with the trailer.
It's on Amazon, and
We Are Not Alone.
We Are Not Alone, right?
Physical evidence now exists which proves that there is life elsewhere, and at least one form of that life has been here. As of 1989, that evidence was in the custody of the United States government. Between December of 1988 and April of 1989, I worked as a senior staff physicist in what has to be the most secret project in history. My job in this program was to be part of a back engineering team. This particular disc appeared to be in excellent condition, and because of its sleek appearance, I nicknamed it the Sport Model. The goal in this program was to see if the technology of the disc could be duplicated with Earth materials. To start up the reactor, of course, we need some element 115. In fact, you need 223 grams, machined into a wedge like this. The program out at S4 consisted of 3 projects: Project Galileo, Project Sidekick, and Project Looking Glass. The file on top was Project Galileo, and as it turned out, that's the project that I was part of. And that clearly referred to reverse engineering a recovered alien spacecraft. This cannot be a secret from anyone, not just the American people, but the rest of the world.
All this stuff is something that happened to him. It's not who he is.
They're doing everything they can to keep this information secret.
That's empirical evidence. I saw a craft to do that, thanks to him.
I hope this story spills. And the world changes.
Bye.
Pretty good.
That was interesting. Oh, by the way, that's black stuff that did not reflect. They're already selling that paint, premium paint. It's got 99.99% of light absorption.
Well, here, this one's for you, George, since you like cookies.
No, don't do this
Like
to me.
Kenzie Amazing.
Don't do this to me.
I have a delicious cookie. It's so tasty and sweet. But who will eat my cookie? Who will get my treat?
Who'll
Johnny,
get the
will
treat,
you eat my
George?
cookie? I'm begging you, please. Sorry, Susie, but I can't. Would you quit asking me? Jeez. But, like, he's got his fingers ready to go to get started. Like, come on, Johnny. Susie continues walking, looking for someone new. And soon enough, she spots him. Look, it's Mr. Pugh. Mr. Pugh, do you like cookies? Mine's the best you'll have in your life. Thanks, Susie. It does look good, but I only eat my wife's. Poor Susie is so sad. What's wrong with her cookie? Surely someone wants to eat it. It's not like she's a
That's
rookie.
funny.
Susie spots Sarah Johnson, the high school gym teacher. Surely she'll eat my cookie. She stops her by the bleachers. Sarah, look at my cookie. Isn't it so pretty? Do you want to eat it? I promise you'll feel giddy. Sorry, Susie, but no can do. Sweets aren't my thing. If you've got a roast beef sandwich, then you can give me a ring.
Oh,
look,
shit,
it's
roast
Neil.
beef.
He's the nicest guy. Surely he'll eat my cookie. It's definitely worth a try. Hi, Neil. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Do you want to eat my cookie? It really is just swell. Hi, Susie. Thanks for asking. Your cookie looks so sweet. I'm sorry to tell you this, though, but all I eat is meat. Then Susie sees
Damn.
Mr. Jim. She greets him and says hi. Mr. Jim, will you eat my cookie? You're such a nice guy. No thanks, Susie, and I'm sure your cookie's lit, but I'm not a fan of vanilla. I only eat chocolate. Susie starts to cry. She can't believe her luck. No one wants her cookie. It must really suck. Then along comes Andy Green, the city's engineer. He takes one look at Susie and dries up all her tears. What's the matter, Susie? Why are you so upset? I'm here for you now. There's no reason to fret. No one will eat my cookie, Andy. I don't understand why. It's so sweet and tasty. I wish someone would give it a try. Susie, I'll eat your cookie. Why didn't you just say so? I love eating cookies. I would never tell you no. Who will eat my cookie? Who will eat my cookie? By
Should be who'll eat my crotch.
Who's gonna eat the cookie?
George obviously doesn't eat cookies.
Oh, God.
This week in e-girl news.
This is a good laugh with this dumbass.
If you're a broke boy, just say so. All right, we're going to take a look at this. So, Pokimane did come out with an update regarding her cookie brand. Pokimane on why she stepped away from her cookie company.
Oh, those
Here we
things
go.
suck.
Let's watch it.
Wait, context from a couple of months ago.
And I think I've uncovered something. I think this company secretly went out of business.
Oh.
But they don't want people to know, because obviously that would be a big deal on YouTube if everyone found out that Pokimane's cookie.
Not only that, the CEO and co-founder, along with Pokimane, was just hired as COO for Jones Soda on the 8th. Mina Snacks is dead. Wow. Selling overpriced shitty cookies doesn't make a good business model.
Are like, oh my god, $28 for cookies? It's 4 bags. That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard when you're an idiot, but like if you're a broke boy, just say so.
Last but not least, the cookies company, which I launched like 2-3 years ago. Unfortunately, the launch for that did not go as we planned.
You're welcome.
But let's go into the lesson right away. It taught me that what it means to be a content creator is very, very, very different
Than a
from
business
what
owner.
it means to be a business.
That's right.
There are certain
Yeah.
things that most businesses can get away with that you cannot do if you are creator backed. And so as soon as I realized
No, see, this is like you're actually retarded. If you didn't have the celebrity endorsement of the cookies, you wouldn't have sold any of the cookies because they came out and they were an inferior product on the market.
We basically made this brand because why are there not more snacks that are simply healthy, tasty?
Then got exposed that there's actually cookies from Costco called Midnight Mini Cookies, which had the exact same nutritional values as these cookies were only $10 for 14 ounces. Pokimane's cookies for 16 ounces was $28.
This concept that you have that, well, the real problem was because you said something or you did something. If the product was good, then the product would be successful. Like, if you look at a lot of creator brands that actually sell good products, you'll see that they're mostly successful. Like, Starforge started out as a creator brand, and you know what happened? We had a problem with the pricing with the PC
overseas. And the night that happened, the night we announced the pricing, we had everybody get into a call. Everybody was there, and we fixed it, and it got better. She thinks that if it wasn't for, you know, maybe the controversy surrounding it, that bringing an inferior or a worse product to market would have caused you to be less successful. No, the only reason why it was successful at all, anybody was talking about the cookies to begin with, was because of the fact that, you know, they were creator pushed.
Well, maybe this isn't the right time for me to be the face of a product. I stepped away from the company and I let them just continue operating as they please. And yeah, that was 2 or 3 years ago. I think they might have started winding down since then, but I haven't really had much involvement since the launch. Last but not
So you didn't have any involvement since the launch, so you just fucked it up and left? Good job. Jesus, she has such a patronizing, obnoxious way of speaking, doesn't she?
Yeah,
and
I
it was never her
can't
cookie
stand her.
company?
Fuck
I don't
her.
know, man. I have no idea.
And we hate the rich.
Aren't you the rich?
No!
Oh, my cookies. were
Why
for
are you so
sale,
scared?
And they wouldn't go, and I couldn't sell my cookies. Nobody wants to eat that cookie either.
Stale.
Alright, I saw this. This is pretty fucking funny. We're gonna end on this. Somebody's making these movie premieres where they're remaking like Flintstones or some shit.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Flintstone family.
I hate Jack Black.
They're a page right out of history.
And a dime. Ready?
With the family down the street, through the courtesy of Fred to Pete. When you're with the Flintstones, dabba yabba dabba tea time.
There's Bam Bam.
Meet the Flintstones, they're the Flintstone.
Alrighty, buddy. Thanks for watching. I want to thank Shep, George, and Mossy for joining me, and
Cornbread.
And Cornbread too. That George ran off. Thanks, George.
Prick.
We'll see you when we see you, everybody.